Welcome into the Tuesday edition of the Bill Michaels Show. Great Big Howard looking to you. Enjoying the day. Beautiful day. Weather-wise, nice. Today is the day I think I can get out and actually cut the grass and get some leaves all mulched up. And later on this afternoon after the show. Looking forward to that. Trying to get the yard back to normal. In the meantime, we have got a lot going on today. We got 20 pounds of stuff that we're going to jam into a 5-pound bag. We got a lot today. A lot going on today. Going to talk about the Packers. And on one hand, it's exciting. 5-1-1. On one hand, 5-1-1 and just 2 special teams plays away from being 7-0. Then again, probably a couple of plays away from, being, 3-2 and 1-1. So who knows? But all of a sudden, they are the darlings again of the NFC. Front runners for, Jordan Love and MVP and Tucker Kraft, offensive player of the year. How? Slow your roll? Or is it just scratching the surface? We'll get into that discussion. The Cajun Re-Creation. Hell no. If you want my vote, put it down. Wherever you're at right now, pull over, side of the road, your office, you're sitting at home. I don't care if you're in the tub. Write it down. Hell no. There's a lot of discussion about, Brian Kelly's now available. Oh, maybe. No. Say it with me. No. I don't want to see Brian Kelly anywhere near Wisconsin. He'll suddenly start talking like a Youper. Go from Cajun to Youper. Oh, no, I don't want to see Brian Kelly here. After the way he kind of ran that program in LSU, he was letting other people make decisions. He's vacationing, and he wasn't fully invested anymore. He took his $50+ million. He's got a pile of money he can lay his head on at night, and he can just go away. Can't stand that guy. He was a shyster when he was at the University of Cincinnati. He was an SOB at Notre Dame, even though they did have some success, and he was a failure at LSU. I don't want to see him anywhere near the state of Wisconsin. We got Bucks basketball to talk about today. We're going to have Peter Bukowski today from the Locked On Packers podcast. He's going to be joining us. We'll chat with him. We got our buddy Chuck Freimund's going to join us, make his weekly visit, and we'll talk Brewers end-of-season pressers. And we're going to talk also about the World Series. By the way, the giant hyperbole that is Mike Greenberg, the greatest postseason game ever. Still, 1975 World Series, walk-off, Carlton Fisk. Reds lose that game. Boston wins that game. Then the series culminates the next night. But that walk-off, Carlton Fisk, waving it fair, that's the best postseason game ever. And then after that, they all fall in the line. Otherwise, he's just prisoner in a moment. I know he was pumping it today, but no, just Mr. Hyperbole himself. So we got that to discuss with Chuck Freimund. And then the Bucks, early returns on the Bucks. They ended up losing against Cleveland, but just watching them, I will say some of the things that Jim Owczarski last week with us, that he foreshadowed are absolutely true. Absolutely true about the Bucks, and I'm enjoying it. So we got into all of that. So all of that coming up today. Hello to all of you over on the cheap seats in the live stream that are watching the program right now. We always appreciate you, everybody that's listening to us over the airwaves, faux free, which everything's for free, but faux free on all the great affiliates throughout the great state of Wisconsin and beyond the borders. We always appreciate you being here as well. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You can track us down. Give us a call that way. Let your voice be heard, as they say. You can also, if you can't call because you're in a cubicle and you got to whisper, shh, you can always text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. We are on YouTube, as I had mentioned before, YouTube for free. Subscribe for free. Like us for free. Please do. You can follow us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. We are on Twitter, on X, @Bill_Michaels. You can follow us there. You can watch the program over there as well. You can follow Grant at Wisco Grant. Please follow us on our platforms. We would beg you to follow us there. Go to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, The Bill Michaels Show. We're on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well. We have our own app, which is Wisco Sports Zone, WISCO. Wisco Sports with an S. Zone. S in the beginning, S in the end, and then Zone. Put them all together. That's Wisco Sports Zone. Download the app or wiscosportszone.com. You can find the website and get all the information there. The Bill Michaels at gmail.com is the website, or excuse me, is the email address. The website simply thebillmichaels.com. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And then we are a television show this weekend, 9 o'clock Central Time, My 24 TV in Milwaukee on Saturday night. My 24 TV in Milwaukee. That's the place you can find us as well. So you can watch the program there. All of that shoved into one giant basket of stuff we're oozing out everywhere. Grant Bills, how you doing today?
I'm doing good because I didn't stay up for the baseball game last night. And I'm glad I didn't. I woke up and I saw how it ended, and I'm like, I don't think I would have got any satisfaction had I stayed up. No. I just would have been angry, I think.
Nope. I am starting to read. I was reading in USA Today, Bob Nightingale's obviously covering the World Series, and then you start reading the comments, and the comments are nothing but a giant thread of hate for the amount of money that the Dodgers have spent, and that, baseball has become unwatchable, and $610 million in the World Series. And again, I'm not a big giant proponent of that, but I'll say this, if the argument becomes loud enough that in some way, shape, or form we do in 2026 or 7 or something like that there could possibly be a lockout coming or sooner, than that, where they tend to insist on a salary cap with a salary floor, I'm not going to argue that. I'll just kind of nod my head politely and go, okay, and go right along with it. So I would have no problem with it. But it was a hell of a game last night. Dodgers now lead the World Series, 2-1 over the Toronto Blue Jays, with games 4 and 5 coming up at Dodger Stadium before it goes back to Toronto for the final 2 games if needed. So we shall see. So, but yeah, I stayed up a little while watching it, and I think about 2:30 this morning, I woke up, my head was tilted back, my glasses were still on, the remote was still in my hand, and I'm like, okay, I got to go to bed. I don't even know what happened. I don't care. So I sat up. I did nothing last night. The Monday night game was kind of a yawner. For everything that Washington had going for them last year, and I get it, Jaden Daniels has been hurt and such, but for everything they had going for them last year, it's not materialized this year. And while it was a great story, they just have not been able to play at that same competitive level with that same level of energy. And I don't know what to make of Washington. Much like we were talking about yesterday about our picks over the weekend, like some of these teams, you just don't know. You really don't know. I thought Washington would at least put up a better fight. I still picked Kansas City, but I thought they'd put up a better fight. And Kansas City just waxed them. Kansas City is, in the beginning, everybody kept saying, and I've even said, look, I don't think Kansas City goes to an AFC championship game again this year. They are still probably going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they go to an AFC championship game. But I'll say this, they look really good. If you had to pick the best team in the AFC, if it came down to who do you believe more? Who do you believe more in? The Kansas City Chiefs, who have been there, done that so many times, or the Colts? I think we would all probably go, the Colts have the better record, but until they prove it in the postseason, you got to go with Kansas City. So, I mean, but Kansas City is just, they're rolling right now. They won 3 straight. They look good doing it. Their offense is back. And after starting off so ugly this year, they're now beginning to roll. And they're now 2 games above 500. Now, they're only a game behind Denver. Remember, at one point, they were last place in the AFC West. And now they're tied with the Chargers at 5-3, only a game behind Denver atop the division. They've climbed that. Meanwhile, Indianapolis sitting at 7-1 right now, and they've won 4 straight, and they've got the best point differential in all of football, not by a little, but by a landslide. They were plus 116. Plus 116 right now. And you go, wow, that's not a whole lot. No, the next closest team, believe it or not, is Kansas City at plus 83. Everybody else that's even got the winning record is probably in the plus 60s, plus 50s, but they're rolling away with everything. Indy is. And Jonathan Taylor is having just a spectacular season. But I don't know if I'm sitting here today going, yeah, Indy's my Super Bowl pick out of the AFC. I just don't know if I go there. And I don't even know if Buffalo is going to be that pick. I don't know if Buffalo has enough offense to get over the top. By the way, it's going to be a good game. The next game Kansas City plays is on the road at Buffalo. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up here in week 9. Got good games coming up this weekend, too. Good games. Got Arizona on the road at Dallas. That's a Monday night game. You got the Seahawks on the road against the 3-5 Commanders. Like I mentioned, Kansas City and Buffalo. A good one because the Colts and the Steelers go at it coming up this weekend. The Colts and the Steelers. That's going to be a good game. You got the Vikings and the Lions, so we're obviously going to pay attention to that. And then you got the Bears on the road at Paycor Stadium taking on Cincinnati. After they just got embarrassed by the Jets, you kind of wonder how they're going to respond and how the Bears are going to respond. So that's a good one coming up Sunday. That's a noon kickoff as well. The Thursday night game has the Ravens and the Dolphins. While it's not a good game matchup-wise because it's two teams with 2 wins apiece, Lamar Jackson's going to play. They made the announcement today, or actually yesterday, that he's going to be ready to go unless they pull him at the last minute the way they did this past weekend. But the Dolphins coming off of a much-needed win. The Ravens coming off of a much-needed win. And the team that loses this is pretty much done anyway. And I kind of get the sense it's going to be the Dolphins, but that's a good game coming up on Thursday night. When normally you look at it on its face and record-wise and go, that's not a good game. There's a lot riding on that game coming up on Thursday night. If the Ravens can get themselves another win and go to 3-5 in the division, all of a sudden they're climbing back. So I got a lot of good football coming up this weekend. Obviously, the Packers are hosting the Panthers, and the Panthers sitting at 4-4 in the season, and they got the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, coming to town. But nevertheless, I mean, a lot of praise right now being heaped upon the Green Bay Packers. So there's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. I'm taking a breath here, for guys' sakes. Taking a breath here. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into the Packers discussion because, and we can talk NFL in general, but are the Packers now the favorite coming out of the NFC? I don't know if I can say that with a ton of enthusiasm, but you can't deny that they're right there. And I get it. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah, okay. They didn't deserve to win the Cleveland game, that's for sure. I thought they would win the Dallas game, but they didn't deserve to win the Cleveland game. They came out so flat and so bad, it wasn't funny. And then obviously the blocked field goal to tie it up, and they lose that game. But yeah, a lot of good stuff today. A lot of good stuff to unpack. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. Ready for the snap and a timeout taken. The team looks a little bit lost. Let's bring in Gina Della from Pella. What's the winning game plan this month?
Wayne, the winning play is simple. A whole house of new windows as low as $297 a month with 0% interest for up to 60 months.
Wow, that's a drive you can sustain for years. No penalties, no interest. A championship move from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
No doubt, Wayne. And unlike the opponent's defense, Pella Windows actually stop the drafts.
The draft picks we gave up for number 1 had to be the steal of the century.
True, but I'm talking about replacing old drafty windows.
Roger that. With energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out, you'll stay as toasty as a fan at a warm weather preseason game.
Pay as low as $297 a month for a whole house of new Pella windows.
Plus, with 0% interest for up to 60 months, don't sit on the sidelines, folks. Make your move today.
Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
These restrictions apply to 71-2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I think it's pretty meaningful I think that speaks also to the respect that we have for a guy like Aaron Rodgers and the guys that were here and were able to witness and see how he would perform, not only on the Sundays, but also in practice and all that. But Jordan's shown a ton of growth. We have a ton of confidence in him. And I thought he played a complete game.
Those are the words of Matt LaFleur. Talking about Aaron Rodgers, the game itself. The Green Bay Packers in their place in it, as many seem to think that they are now a team to beat in the NFC. Welcome back to the program. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. Look, I think the Packers are a good football team. I don't know right now if they are the team to beat, but what I did say yesterday, and I still stand by it, is basically this. They haven't put together a 4 full quarters yet. Haven't done it. If they even put together 3 quarters of the way they played against the Steelers, then they would be considered one of the better teams in football by far, or the favorite. Because I agree they have that level of ability. Now, what bothers me, and some of you obviously who have texted in and written in, is on the slow the roll. When you look at the defense that Cleveland put up against them, they couldn't move the football. Couldn't figure it out. It was bad. They've had a couple of... Now, the game in which they lost to Dallas, or tied with Dallas, offensively, they were able to move the football, but they weren't able to do what they wanted to do specifically early on. We've seen them perform well in instances, but not a consistent flow of the offense. Now, you got to give credit to defenses because defenses get paid too, and other teams are obviously, they're making money to prevent all of that. I understand that. But we've seen where one set of play calls is very mundane. And like I've said, we were talking about yesterday, unless you're setting something up for later in the game, which is what play callers do, sometimes it's just what is this? And then all of a sudden it looks like, boom, they just took the training wheels off and it begins to flow. I haven't seen that consistency out of this team like we'd like, where they've played basically a half of football or a quarter of football, but not 4 quarters of football. Now, you can't blow every team out and you can't score 40 every game, and I get all of that. I understand it. But there have been times where it's just like you can see it's churning it's like this powerful machine is just stuck in the mud and it's just churning, the tires are just spinning and you're waiting for it to just get some traction and go like they did in the second half of the game, specifically the fourth quarter of the game against Pittsburgh. But I still think this is a really good football team. And defensively speaking, while it's not perfect, it's a lot better than what it was. And I think you have to kind of realize that a little bit. It's a lot better than what it was. It's still near the top 10 in many different categories right now. They're overall defense, they're sixth best in the NFL. Sixth best. When it comes to passing defense, nowhere near that. That's the Achilles heel of this team, without a doubt. They're, I think, like 16th or 18th or something like that in the league. They're down there. They're actually 20th in the league, 210.6 yards per game, ranked 20th in the league. But the one good thing is, out of this, they, even though they gave up 25 points and their points per game average went up, they're still like near the top 10 in points per game, which at one point they were number 2. So they have steadily fallen over the last, over the last 3-4 weeks in points per game, but also but when you look at against the run, they're third best in the National Football League, giving up 78.9 yards per game. And remember, they couldn't stop the run because they lost Kenny Clark and they brought in Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons wasn't a run stuffer, but they're third best in the National Football League against the run. When you can stop the run, when you can get a lead, you can force teams to throw, which is somewhat of the Achilles heel of this defense. At least you've got them in a good position where you can still maybe get off the field. But just rudimentary, whatever. Just looking at this base statistics of the defense, they're good, but they're not great. They're near the top 10 or in the top 10 in many of the categories. It has to ascend a little bit better than what it is, specifically in the secondary. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Brad in Sturgeon Bay. Bill, I do think the NFC is going to come down to the Packers and the Lions in the championship game. To me, they look like the two best teams. Lions seem more consistent, of course, but like you said yesterday, the Packers have yet to play a complete 4 full quarters. If they can figure out the way to put it all together for an entire game, they will be elite. What else do we have? This is from Art. Art says, I believe the Packers are a good team. They're not a great team. As long as Matt LaFleur doesn't have them firing on all cylinders in all 4 quarters of the game, this team is always going to be stuck in the mud. Great analogy. Well, like I said, you're not going to score 20 every quarter. And that seems to be like the level of expectation. And I don't know where people got that. But what I would like to consistently see is a team that can move the ball up and down the field. Even if some drives stall, you're going to kick field goals. Okay, I get that. But even if some drives stall, but what you don't want is you don't want your first quarter to be a shutout. Your first drive to consistently be 3 and out. Or you do get momentum, and then the very next drive, it's, end around, run, incomplete pass, punt away. We've seen that where it's like you got momentum and then the momentum just gets sucked out of the room. And again, I think I'm preaching to the choir. Some people want to just see this thing run up and down the field, and that's not the way football is played. But I do look at it as saying that there are times when this thing just doesn't look like it's flowing right, and it takes them a while to get into their rhythm. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us. Dennis says, it was great to see the Packers flex their muscle a little bit in the second half and dominate the Steelers, showing the rest of the NFL and the fans that they can be Super Bowl favorite. I believe LaFleur's and the team's future depends on eliminating the conservative play calling we saw in the first half and just go back to being aggressive. Creative play callers we saw in the second half. It was awesome to see Love and his fellow offensive players just kind of cut it loose, have fun the way the game's supposed to be played. I do root for LaFleur to adapt his total game philosophy and identity to the way he coached in the second half. There's only one person holding LaFleur and the team back from underachieving greatness, and that's LaFleur. Change the results, change the faces. That's from Dennis. Dennis, appreciate it, man. Good stuff. Where's the other one I had? I had another one, an email that, God, where'd it go? Oh, okay, here it is. James says, let's pump the brakes a little bit on overhyping the Green Bay Packers after the performance the other night. The Packers are a very streaky team. They seem to be like a streak shooter in basketball. They can get hot like the second half last night, and then they can go cold like the first half the other night. Waiting for them to play a full 60 minutes may be a fool's errand. We'll see. Maybe this is who they are, a team that can play some really great football and a team that can commit a lot of mental errors, play very poorly in stretches, and engage in self-destructive football. Enjoy the show. That's JP. The only thing I'll say, JP, is, and when we talk about the detrimental errors, the self-inflicted wounds, what I call self-inflicted is the stupid holds that we've seen on special teams. It's consistent. Death, taxes, and a Packers special teams holding call. We're always going to see it. I don't know why, but we will. Okay? What they have eliminated is the pre-snap penalties. They've had some, but you have to admit, going from the game in which they had 14, the next week they had 4, the week after that they had 10, the week after that they had 5. So they had 14 in one game. They've had 19 in 3 weeks. It's come down. And the stupid penalties, the pre-snap, false starts that were so prevalent early on this season, they've gone away. 2 reasons. One is they've concentrated on it. They've worked on it. 2, you've now got the same guys playing on the offensive line. Again, going back to cohesion, going back to rhythmic play calling, snaps, things like that. Elton Jenkins is now on the same page with everybody else, and they're on the same page with him. Because this is the first time in 3 weeks where we had consistent line play, same guys, same 5 guys. You mix and match a little bit with Jordan Morgan in there, but basically same 5 guys. And that's the reason the offensive line and the pre-snap stuff has gotten better. So a concentration on it, I can live with defensive pass interference. I can live with a hold every now and then. It sucks, but it happens, okay? If you're getting beat, you don't want your quarterback to get cleaned. You don't want to get a ball thrown over the top where a guy just gets, running free because he just beat you. You got to hang on, right? You'd rather take the penalty than give up the touchdown. So you understand it. You get it. But all the mental pre-snap stuff, that's basically been eliminated. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Let's do this. Peter Bukowski, the Locked On Packers podcast, going to join us when we come back, and we'll talk with him about a lot of this stuff. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Marquardt, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. Getting ready to take back the 2025 version of the big unit cruiser. Getting all the logos and everything off of it and unpacking it and getting some things out of it. And then I'm going to take it back and get it all winterized, and we'll see what next year brings. But this year has been a wildly successful year because of Marquardt RV, not just because of what we've been able to travel around it, but because of the money we've been able to raise with some of the charity events that we've done for first responders, also our military veterans, our military members and their families. We've raised over $15,000 using our friends at Marquardt RV and their joint venture with us in all of this. And we've been able to travel the state, travel the country for that matter, in being able to do the show on the road. It's been fantastic. Love it. Thanks to our friends at Marquardt, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. That is MarquardtRV.com, and they value your whole process. They take care of you during the process and specifically after to make sure you get the most out of whatever vehicle you buy, whether it's a trailer, tow behind, fifth wheel, whatever it is, or just a big motor coach. Whatever it is, they want to make sure you know it, you enjoy it. You can troubleshoot it if there's a problem, but you get the best, and the best experiences for you, your family, your loved ones, out of whatever vehicle it is you buy. That is Marquardt RV. Go to Marquardt, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. Peter Bukowski, the Locked On Packers podcast, next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Show. We are glad you are with us, as always. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors, Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, whether it's for all the innovation that they have on the inside, the beautification for curb appeal on the outside, the economical factor, the safety factor. So many different things go into it, but also 0% financing right now. So check it out. Go to PellaWI.com. Get the free in-home consultation. They can come out and tell you what you need, what you don't need, what you're thinking about, all that kind of good stuff. Show you so many different lines, so many different things to think about. Put it all together that fits your budget, fits your lifestyle, fits your needs. That is our friends over there at Pella. Go to PellaWI.com or call them direct, 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Again, 855-PELLA-WI. You can find all your stuff right there. Joining us now from the Locked On Packers podcast and co-founder of The Leap, our buddy Peter Bukowski joining us on the hotline. P, what's going on, man?
Bill, it's I shudder to think what the discussions would have been like the last couple of days had Aaron Rodgers pulled things out. Had the first half of the Packers game gone the same way as the second half gone the same way as the first half.
Is this okay? Let me ask you this, because I had said this. I said, look, if this team, they don't even need to put four of them together. If they could put three quarters together consistently as to what they did in the second half of that game against Pittsburgh, what they did in the second half of the game against Dallas, all of that, this would be the team to beat in the NFC. Would you agree?
I mean, I think they are anyway, just because we know what they're capable of being. The Lions are the other team that if they put four quarters together, they can beat anybody. But the Packers already beat them. And so they have to be. I think there are three teams that are head and shoulders above the rest of the league right now. And if they're not head and shoulders, they're like at least heads above everybody else. That's Green Bay, Detroit, and Kansas City. I know what you're saying, and I agree that if they put three quarters together, they can beat almost anybody, because three of their best quarters is better than four of anybody else's best quarters in most cases. But it's hard to do that. I mean, how many times can you think of a Packers team or any team just four quarters of absolutely kick your ass kind of stuff? Like that's difficult to do against anybody, for anybody. That being said, it'd be nice if they could have a game like that or two, just so everybody can quiet down.
I think don't get me wrong. The addition of Christian Watson, obviously Matthew Golden's emergence, and certainly Tucker Kraft and the way he's playing have all been really, really good. But I look at the trenches, and I also look at the pressure that's been put or not been put on Jordan Love, and the fact that you've now had 3 weeks in a row, because you hadn't had the entire offensive line together going all the way back even into training camp. So the fact that 3 weeks in a row, now these guys look more cohesive. The pre-snap penalties have all but been eliminated. It seems like now is when they're starting to flow. They're starting to get a little more traction offensively. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, and you'd still like them to run the ball better. And Matt LaFleur would certainly like them to run the ball better. And so their desire for balance feels a little less foolish. Right now, I think their desire for balance is foolish. Because if you think about this, Jordan Love had 20 straight completions. On early downs against the Steelers, they had 26 passes and 23 runs. That when you can't run the ball effectively, and the Packers have to date not been able to run the ball consistently, and your quarterback is on a heater, the search for balance is foolish. And I think that, I'm sure you remember this, Bill, the old Mike McCarthy, and I joked during the game that this needed to be a Mike McCarthy game. And remember, the mid 2010s, and certainly early 2010s, when it was like, okay, the run game, you try it on the first drive, and if it's not there by the second drive, he would just drop back the rest of the game, basically.
Right.
I kind of felt like that's what they needed to do against Pittsburgh. And that's eventually what they did in the second half. They just let Jordan Love go do it. And I think the more that they're able to say, at least be willing to do that, the fact that this offensive line has come together the way it has will allow them to be able to do that. You can't do that if you can't run the ball, because you're not going to be able to let teams just pin their earbacks and go. When you have all your guys, I think you feel like you can hold up. I mean, if you can hold up against the Steelers with TJ Watt and Nate Herbig and Cam Hayward and all the guys that they can throw at you like they did, you can hold up against anybody, even without balance. Now, if they had some balance, Matt, this offense would be fully unstoppable if they were running the ball this year like they ran the ball last year, right?
Yeah, I went through, and I started charting this a couple of weeks ago, so I went back last night. I just started kind of making my own notes. 71% of the time in the first half, they are in shotgun. And that drops dramatically down to like 54% in the second half of ball games when they've had more success. Look, I'm not a fan of running out of shotgun totally, and I think the play action's been somewhat lost in all of this, but it seems like they try it, they want to get a look of everything, and then all of a sudden they go, okay, let's open this up and let's put them under center and let's do and there's so much more success there. I can't figure out why, for the life of me, it's all shotgun in the first half and a more balanced attack in the second half. Can you?
I think part of it is they have not been effective running the ball with two tight ends on the field, which is weird because usually you put two tight ends on the field to run. But I think part of this is Luke Musgrave is not a plus blocker as your second tight end. And part of it is that the offensive line has not looked in the run game the way that they hoped with the addition of Aaron Banks and Jordan Morgan sliding in at right guard. By the way, he lost the timeshare on Sunday night to Sean Ryan, 55-45, after playing 2 games where he was clearly the starter at guard. That's something to monitor moving forward for sure. But I don't know. Josh Jacobs doesn't look the same to me, explosive-wise. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's all the wear and tear that he put on, the miles he put on last year. But when Emmanuel Wilson gets in the game, it is a noticeable difference in juice. And I think that's why they drafted Marshawn Lloyd. He just it's a shame that he died from a hamstring injury because he's not even at practice. Jaden Reed broke his collarbone and his foot, had surgery, and is already back at practice. And Marshawn Lloyd is nowhere to be found. It's a truly bizarre situation.
Right.
So I don't know if we need to get Mike Clemens to talk to Green Bay PD or what to find him. But the run game, it's just I don't know what they need to get it going. But I feel like the offensive line here has to be part of the solution in that regard. They have to start moving bodies, Bill.
Yep. I was just going to say they got to win up front. I mean, that's why I think that, and I agree with you that they try the run and then they go, okay, it's not going to work, so we're in shotgun. They run the ball better when they're under center. Statistically speaking, they're running the ball better when they're under center, and I don't understand why it's the necessity to go to shotgun, and then they go, okay, let's change some things up, and then things begin to work in the second half of ball games when they can't come out and do that, or at least stick to it and do more of the things that we've discussed in the past early on in ball games. I always keep thinking to myself, they've got to have a methodology to this. There has to be something that they're setting up. Like you got to run certain plays in the beginning so you can set them up for plays that run again later in the ball game. I don't know. Defensively speaking, the Achilles heel secondary, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think defensively speaking, the Achilles heel is the secondary when you can't create pressure. Mm-hmm. So teams that can play balanced and be consistent, like the Steelers, if you look at the final numbers, you go, oh, they didn't run the ball that well. But it felt like during the game that they were ripping off these chunks. The thing is they were also getting these plays where they're getting stopped for no gain. The very few teams this year have been able to consistently get 5-6 yards. And so that makes it really tough on an offense. Like if you just can't call, like the Packers, I believe, it was certainly the case coming into Sunday, I haven't checked lately, have faced the fewest number of runs in the NFL this year. Teams are just not trying their run defense, and that is allowing Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary to get off the way that they've been able to get off here. But when the pressure is not getting to you, then that is what we saw second half Joe Flacco, second half Dak Prescott, first half Aaron Rodgers, where if the ball is able to come out quick, then that pressure can't get home. The addition of Carrington Valentine to this group has been I hesitate to even say revelation, Bill, because he was on the team. He was the starter last year. Right. It seems, like the only reason Nate Hobbs, it feels like, was immediately put back into the lineup as the starter is 4 years, $48 million. Mm-hmm. Nothing to do with play on the field. I think Carrington Valentine is a capable, worthy starter. I think what you're going to see is them work Nate Hobbs back into the fold as a passing situation nickel corner and mostly abandon at least this outside corner experiment that they put on here. And that's going to be unfortunate because he's going to be an overpaid slot corner gunner special teams player. But if that's happening because Carrington Valentine is playing at a high level, I mean, it's just money.
So be it. Yeah. I completely agree with you. Do you think, and I've said this for a while, I think the Achilles heel is the secondary, but I also think the depth of the Achilles heel is secondary, that they need to find some, I don't know if they're going to.
They're one injury away from being in big trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason I keep thinking to myself, you already went all in with Micah Parsons and you believe that this is the season where the window is wide open. To me, I'd be scouring right now trying to find myself another corner or two. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, if you could shake one free, I think they'd have to be able to play the boundary. I mean, that's the key is because you have like Javon Bullard is a nice nickel corner. I like Javon Bullard I think he's made a significant improvement this year, being allowed to just say you're the slot guy. You feel good about Keyshawn Nixon and Valentine on the outside, I guess. And Nixon can always move inside. Nate Hobbs, we know, can play inside. That was where he was best as a Raider. Those kinds of corners are not easy to find. Like maybe you can call the Bengals and you can shake loose Cam Taylor-Britt or someone like that. Roger McCreary was someone I think in Green Bay, the Rams trade for him. He's a slot only player, I think, in Green Bay. The Lions just released Kendall Fuller. That's an interesting one. But he's not the Brian Gutekunst stage curve that you're looking for. So that's the tricky part here is finding the right fit that is also on the right timeline here, even though the window is now for the Packers. The cornerback age curve is a real thing. Like after 28, 29, these guys, they are falling off a cliff.
I know that, he's banged up. I get it. But what have you seen that you have either liked or disliked out of Lucas Van Ness? When we were all sitting down there in Indianapolis, Goody was very emphatic that Van Ness was going to take the jump. And I've seen him play well on specific plays, certain plays. Overall performance, though, has been lukewarm at best.
I think you'd like to see more of the high end. You'd like to see more of the flashes from him. Mm-hmm. He's not a flashy player. I think he is most likely to profile as a Rashawn Gary type of player. He is a power pass rusher who is going to have cleanup sacks mostly. So a quarterback is forced to hold the ball for a second and he gets home and be a stout run defender. And Rashawn Gary, when it's all said and done, is going to probably be a 2 or 3 time Pro Bowler for the Packers. I think Lucas Van Ness profiles most closely to healthy Nick Perry. And I think it's easy to forget healthy Nick Perry was a really nice player. A couple multi-sack games. Mm-hmm. He was never an elite player. And that's going to be a disappointment from someone who was a top 15 pick. The Aaron Rodgers trade is always going to follow him. He was on his way to taking a step, Bill, this year, a significant step forward. He got hurt on a sack, right? He got hurt on a sack of Joe Flacco. That's the unfortunate part.
Right.
But we're still talking about someone who is not affecting the game down to down, play to play, quite the way that you would like a high first round pick to do. But it can take time. I mean, Ed Oliver is someone who it took until year 3 or 4 for him to really become that truly impactful player. And even then, he wasn't quite that guy. So if Lucas Van Ness ends up being Rashawn Gary, I don't think that should be viewed as a disappointment, but I know it will be.
Is this the most balanced we've seen this team in a long, long time?
That's a good question. I think so, because the offense in 2019 was not as good. We saw it in 2020, and there were clear holes. I think this is the fewest holes the Packers have had in probably since 2014. Because they can run, they have a great back. I don't know if the run game is great right now. The quarterback is playing at an extremely high level. The offense, the weapons, the offensive line, the pass rush, and you mentioned the secondary. There is some problems in the secondary, but they have an elite safety duo. They have a top 3 safety duo in the league right now with Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams. They're not making the splash plays, but that's because teams refuse to test them. No one's throwing the ball down the field on Green Bay. And those safeties can erase a lot of mistakes. They can cover up for a lot of mistakes. And we also saw Adrian Cooper once again on Sunday play at an extremely high level. The amount of impact that guy can have on the game. I mean, this is as complete a roster. Yeah. Now that we've talked through it, this is as complete a roster as they have had since 2014. And I think you could make the case that there's less high-end talent, but that 2014 team, the linebackers were not very good on that team. So the tight end was not very good on that team. It was okay. That was rookie Richard Rodgers.
Right.
Maybe you feel like this is actually a deeper, more complete team than that one was. And they were a calamity of errors away from the Super Bowl.
Real quick before I let you go, I know people are, Harvesek, he's got to be the guy. McManus is the guy. I've seen McManus. You've seen McManus. We all watch him line up. He's booting 65-yarders like it's no big deal. I think coming back a week from that injury, also on a turf in which it was a little bit questionable in Pittsburgh. I'm not worried about McManus.
Yeah, I'm not worried about McManus either. He was kicking at the Allegheny County Municipal Golf Course there that they play on in Pittsburgh. That field is an abomination. Terrible. And has always been. And I wish the NFL would intervene. When you have Chris Collinsworth saying the home team kicker has had to adjust the way he kicks because the turf stinks. Like, can we just all agree that that's time for the league to step in and say, you guys got to figure this out? Like, it's just not, it should not be acceptable. There are like third division English soccer leagues that play on better fields than NFL teams. And that just should not be a thing.
Exactly.
I digress. It is really hard for a team in a Super Bowl window to say, we're going to take this veteran kicker who has proven it in the league and has won games for us to say, we're going to move on for a 26-year-old.
Right.
But I do think Havrasek has made it difficult for the Packers to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. I think they're going to carry 2 kickers for the foreseeable future. I really do.
I do too.
And I don't think that's a bad idea because they can afford it right now. I think when Jaden Reed comes back, when they get fully, when Marshawn Lloyd comes back, they're going to have some tougher decisions to make. But right now, like the difference between a 4th backup offensive lineman on the practice squad and having an extra kicker on your roster, I don't think that's moving the needle for the Packers. Do you? So no. I think they can continue the way that they're currently handling it. If McManus continues to struggle, you have the ready-made replacement there. The 61-yarder opened my eyes, Bill. I'll be honest. When the Aaron Schatz, formerly of Football Outsiders, now of FTN Fantasy, have this stat: the 57-yarder that McManus missed. And isn't it amazing that we're counting 57-yarders as like, he should probably make this. It was only the 4th field goal this year in the NFL charted as short. So every team has these monster robot-legged kickers. Mm-hmm. If you don't have one, you're behind.
Right.
And so that I do think that is something to consider here. Now, again, you mentioned it, 60 plus in warmups, McManus is making them. I think he just wasn't 100% ready. And so I think you'll just live with some of the deficiencies. Maybe it makes Matt LaFleur a little bit more aggressive going for it on 4th down. He had no hesitation on the 4th downs yesterday when they were at 4th and short, 4th and medium to just go for it.
Right. Peter, always great to talk to you, my friend. I certainly appreciate it. We'll keep paying attention to the Locked On Packers podcast as well. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
There you go. Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers podcast. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
That fast, an hour down. We've got 3 more yet to go. Peter Bukowski, thanks to him for coming on the program. It's really, really good stuff. Also, don't forget, coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk with our buddy Chuck Freimund, Little Brewers baseball we want to get into. Later on in the program, we got Jim Owczarski is going to join us from the Journal-Sentinel. We'll talk with him about the Bucs as they're off to their start and some early returns on the Milwaukee Bucks. Also, we'll talk some about the Badger football program and all of the grab that is going on right now, at least in the minds of some fans. And we'll get into that discussion as well. Don't go anywhere. That fast, 1 hour down, 3 more yet to go. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's a victory Monday for the Packers. That's after they went on the road last night, beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers 35-25. It was a huge night for Tucker Kraft. Tight end had a career-high 147 yards receiving and a pair of touchdowns. Coach Matt LaFleur was asked if he would be open to building a passing attack around the third-year player.
We'd be crazy not to. He was a beast. He was a man possessed, and you just got to find ways to get him the ball. And, the first touchdown was a cold run where we spit the ball out on the run alert. And the receivers, I can't say enough about those guys. Just the effort that they bring in regards to not only the pass game, which is to be expected, but in the run game, blocking for the backs or blocking for Tuck in that situation.
Jordan Love outplayed his mentor by throwing for 360 yards and 3 scores. The two met at midfield after the game, agreed to swap jerseys at a later date. Green Bay improved to 5-1-1 on the year, leaving them with the fewest losses of any team in the NFC. They will now come home to face Carolina on Sunday. Panthers are 4-4, but got blown out by the Bills at home yesterday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're on their second bye week. It comes after an 0-4 October, in which they were outscored 116-17. They'll return for the bye to face Washington next weekend.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
The Bucs will look to bounce back from their first loss this season when they host the Knicks tomorrow at Fiserv Forum. Milwaukee dropped its first game of the year yesterday in Cleveland, and Wisconsin going to play UW Platteville in exhibition action on Wednesday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in. How we look at the Bill Michaels Show. Tuesday edition. Hell yeah. It is it's a nice day out, man. I'll tell you that right now. I don't care who you are. Nice day, good weather, a little bit of a breeze, leaves falling. Fall is definitely here. That's all right. That's all right. You know what I'm looking forward to? Not only today, tomorrow, and the rest of the week, but Friday specifically. Why? Because we finally make our return to the area that is Marinette, Wisconsin. Menominee, Marinette. We're looking forward to getting up there. I'll be there at the Lodge. We're doing the Bill Michaels Show, broadcasting live at the Lodge on Friday. The Lodge, people have been calling and texting and such for, I don't know, maybe a year, saying, hey, this new place called the Lodge, you got to come up. You got to hang out with us. You got to come here and do the show, and we'd love to. And so I'm like, okay. So we worked it out. We are the gateway to Marinette, Wisconsin. For those of you throughout the rest of the state, first of all, if you've never been there, people go to Door County all the time. I've never been to Door County. There's a lot of people that have never been to Marinette. You go to Marinette, which is up there in the the lake area, water area. It's where they build the ships up there as well. And they've got the longest, I think it's the third or fourth longest high school football rivalry in the country, which is really, really cool. But they also have the Blues, Brews, and BBQs weekend coming up this weekend. And you're going to have the Joe Moss Band, the Mike Wheeler Band. They're going to be playing. They're going to have barbecue from 5 different locations that are all going for like Pitmaster awards. But more so than anything, we're going to be there. But if you want tickets to the Blues, Brews, and Barbecues, you can do that. Go to fishonmarinette.com. That's fishonmarinette.com, and click on the events page. You can find it there, okay? Get the VIP tickets, get the general admission tickets, whatever, okay? But we're going to be there doing the show from the Lodge. We're free, by the way. Nobody's going to pay and see us. We're Zippy the Piss Boy. We're nobody. But we're going to be up there. We're looking forward to it. We're going to be at the Lodge coming up on Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we can't wait to see everybody. It's going to be really, really great to go back. And yes, I'm going to get a chance to stop at Colonel K's. Yes, I'm going to try to get around town a little bit on Thursday, and then I'm heading back. But and then I got to get back up to Green Bay on Sunday to cover the Packers and the Carolina Panthers. We got a big full weekend coming up. Thursday in Marinette, Friday doing the show in Marinette, Friday night back at Stenny's back in Milwaukee and Walker's Point for the Halloween costume contest, doing the judging there. Saturday, we've got the combat, let's see here. The Center for Veterans Issues, the CVI, I got to remember that. The Center for Veterans Issues, I'm the MC for that at the Italian Community Center coming up on Saturday night, up early on Sunday, back up to Green Bay, doing the game, and then back home finally on Sunday night. So big weekend coming up. Big weekend. But go to fishonmarinette.com. We can't wait to see you at the Lodge coming up this Friday. Good stuff. Grant Bills, how are we doing today? Because we can finally see your face. You apparently, are you in a fog there?
Do I look like I'm in a fog?
Yeah, the camera's a little cloudy.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me wipe it off here.
Camera's a little cloudy.
I'll wipe it. No, we just had someone from the farm team who had some questions about the boards. So They asked the expert, which is Ebo, and then Ebo made me do it. so that's how that works.
So we're going to pass it off to Kate.
Yeah, right. So Peter was chatting with you, and we were just kind of going over some things. But I loved how you and Peter talked about, because it's the number one item on my list to talk about tonight with the Packers is they still can't really run the ball. Right. And I don't know that that's prevented them from winning games. Like, I don't know that they lost to the Cowboys or the Browns because they couldn't run the ball, but if you're going to beat 2 or 3 playoff teams in a row in close environments, maybe on the road, like I just really struggle to see that, or it gets a lot harder when you can't run the ball, and they haven't been able to yet. And part of that's maybe Josh Jacobs is banged up. I don't know, but I really like listening to you and Peter talk about that because I agree.
2 things I took away from that, and you're right. They have not been able to consistently run it. And when we talked about the identity, they want to be a run team. And maybe part of that is like you alluded to with Josh Jacobs and the calf muscle. Maybe that's just kind of prevented him with that burst. And I can understand that. But I think 2 things are at play here. One is, and teams have been good at just they've concentrated on stopping the run. Early on in the season, they were putting 8 in the box. So that was their concentration because they knew the Packers could run the ball with Josh Jacobs. He's a work dog, north-south, that kind of thing. But do they go back to being in the second half? Remember, they started to rack up yardage in the run game in the second half of the game. Do they go back to being a West Coast style football team where you pass first and that's your identity to then open up the run as they did in the second half of the game against Pittsburgh.
I don't know that they need to. They don't need to carry the ball, 30 times a game.
Right.
Josh Jacobs doesn't need 24 touches a game or something like that. It's more about, can you turn a 1st and 10 into a 2nd and 5?
Mm-hmm.
Or a 2nd and 9 into a 3rd and 3 instead of incomplete pass on 1st down, 1 yard run on 2nd down, and now it's 3rd and 9. Like they haven't really been able to lean on the running game to just stay ahead of the sticks and to give themselves some breathing room.
Yeah.
I think that's all they really need it for. And then there's games like the Steelers have sucked against the run, and it doesn't feel great that they couldn't do anything with Josh Jacobs. I don't need 150 yards, but Josh Jacobs, I think, had 13 carries for 40 yards or something ridiculous like that. Like, that's just not enough for me.
Right. And which, if he remember some of the success they've had, he's had about between 19 and 23 touches. Like you said, it doesn't have to be, 25 carries and 5 touches. If you get him about 23 touches, 18 carries, 5, receptions out of the backfield, checkdowns, whatever, usually that will, kind of give you the sense that it's not a bad day at the office right there, because they've committed to the run. They're still getting him touches. They're probably moving the football if they're doing it in that particular sense. So, but I agree. I'd like to see them do a little bit more in the way of Josh Jacobs or, Wilson or whoever else. I mean, he's right about Marshawn Lloyd, though. We were asked about that. Was it yesterday? Somebody asked me about Marshawn Lloyd, or was it last week?
So.
I can't remember. And I said, I don't know. We'll have to check. I would assume he's back, but the fact that he's not back at practice, we got to check with Mike Clemens, because that's so bizarre that he's gone. He's nowhere to be found.
Marshawn Lloyd died weeks ago. They're covering it up, apparently. That's kind of the joke that Peter made, right? Like, I don't know where he is. It's not like he's on the bike at practice or anything like that. And for reference, Josh Jacobs on Sunday had 13 carries for 33 yards.
Yeah.
Wilson had 11 carries for 61. Wilson looked better. And something that I'm going to talk about throughout the week, can we just give Josh Jacobs a week off? Just give him a week off.
Yeah.
Because he's not, if he was playing through injury and helping the team win, that would be one thing. He's not helping anybody out there, least of all himself. He's hurt. So I kind of hope they shut him down and just give him the weekend off and let it be the Emmanuel Wilson show.
It's going to be an interesting Wednesday looking at him. 2 things. 1, on the practice field. 2, on the injury report, as to whether or not he's feeling really 100% and good, or if there's still an issue, if he's still sore, they still have to take it easy. But I'd love to know, like, how, because I give him all the credit in the world. I mean, he's a guy that you just don't pull out of the game. He doesn't want to come out of the game. Even when he's hurt, he doesn't want to come out of the game. But clearly, when you watch him, and I've always said, look, the difference between him and Aaron Jones had a burst. I mean, he had just, boom, he'd hit the hole and be off and gone. But he wasn't strong enough to drag everybody with him, where Josh Jacobs isn't as quick, but he was still able to hit the hole and take people with him. And then the offensive line started opening up holes. And once he gets the head of steam, then it's all from there. Is he being hindered by the shotgun? Not getting that downhill roll going, so to speak, and getting the head of steam as he takes the handoff. Is he being hindered on that stutter step by the shotgun and getting stuck in the backfield, where up front it hasn't necessarily been great in opening up holes? And that's maybe that's a question that Matt LaFleur gets asked on Wednesday at the presser, saying, hey, has this been somewhat of a problem, because it's been more out of shotgun and not getting the run game going, specifically in the first half of ball games? I'd love to know that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you again. 877-867-1670, 608-321-1670. That's the phone number, or the text line, if you want to get a hold of us there. So here's the other topic of conversation that I do eventually want to get into. But over the weekend, we all know Brian Kelly got fired. And every time a head coach gets fired, he's the next one that has to come into Wisconsin. I don't want to see Brian Kelly anywhere near the Wisconsin Badgers program. I just don't. I'm not a fan of his. I never have been. The shenanigans that he pulled behind closed doors at Cincinnati to take the Notre Dame job, the way he handled, Notre Dame, he had success there. You got to give him that. And he had success at Cincinnati. But character-wise, I just don't like the guy. And then obviously going into LSU and talking Cajun and all that crap and, all that stuff. I've never been a fan of his. And then obviously he gets fired, and he's getting, what, 58? He gets $800,000 a week. Did you see that? $800,000 a week until the $58 million is paid off. That's crazy.
It's not bad.
It's not $800,000 a month. It's $800,000 a week.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Crap.
I was listening to Cowherd and Middlecoff on Sunday, who I think do a really good job talking about college football. And they were kind of hypothesizing that Brian Kelly maybe wasn't jumping up and down and doing backflips to take the LSU job. But he's like, well, it's LSU and it's how much money? Like, you'd almost be stupid not to take a job like that, right? And you know that, well, even if it's a train wreck, I'm going to get all this money. And I wonder how many coaching jobs and how many coaching hires are like, well, I don't really know much about the program and I've never been in that conference before, but shoot, if they want to pay me that much, even if it's a train wreck, I'll get my money and I'll just get another job or I'll be set for life. And I wonder how many coaches are thinking that way. That was their hypothesis. I found it interesting.
Paul Feinbaum crushed him yesterday, saying that he wasn't into the job. He was the guy that was off on vacation in Florida, in the Keys, and while the staff was being built, while people were being interviewed and recruiting was going on. It's not the same as it was when he was trying to build the Cincinnati program. He certainly wasn't engaged as when he was trying to build the Notre Dame program and bring it back. And he just, like you said, he kind of took the money and went. And I don't want to see him anywhere near Wisconsin. Nowhere near it. I know there's some people that said, hey, look, he's better than nothing. Well, right now you've got nothing. He's not, I don't think he's better than nothing. And as a matter of fact, I think he'd be more detrimental. I know people think that, well, because he had success in Notre Dame and he would just come in and all of a sudden start recruiting the same way. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. Notre Dame has a different stature. Notre Dame has won national titles. So is LSU, but I don't think he was as engaged as LSU as he was at Notre Dame. It was a cash grab and he got it. And he can walk away and never do a damn thing for the rest of his life. And he's good to go. $800,000 a week. That's what he's getting. Man.
Is there too much money in college football? Going to some of these coaches?
Well,
it's like, my, geez.
I keep thinking to myself, this is going to be the next one. You know, this guy is going to be the one that stymies this growth of crazy salaries and what they're doing for guaranteed contracts and all that kind of stuff. And, but then again, I'm always looking at it going, no. Somebody's going to get more money. Somebody's going to get more years. Somebody's going to get fired and have a bigger buyout. All of that, you know, I just, no. You know, every time we see something that they pay, because I thought when some of these teams started spending big money on NIL deals that didn't pan out, that companies would go, nah, this isn't worth it. And nope, they're still paying big money. You know, they're still, I mean, Arch Manning got a ton of money to go to Texas. And remember, he was the Heisman candidate coming into the season. He was all the hype. And he has been, for lack of a better term, he has been a failure. I mean, he's not great. He's not carrying on the Manning name, so to speak. But then again, he still has time to learn. He still has time to grow. I think he came in with a ton of pressure to be a Manning right now. And he just hasn't necessarily lived up to that. Doesn't mean he won't, because I certainly think he can, but it's how you handle the pressure. And he's handled it. But so anyway, my point being is I keep thinking that the next big deal is going to be the deal where finally people go, nope, I'm not going to do that anymore. But as long as there's money and as long as somebody's willing to, you know, throw their junk on the table to say, yeah, oh, look at what I've done, how much money I've spent, then there's always going to be somebody that does it and falls on their head. So
God bless you people that spend millions on college athletic programs. Right. I wouldn't do it, but I'm happy that there are those of you out there that do it, and then it brings you whatever return or enjoyment.
That's just it. I wonder what the ROI is on something like that.
Emotional satisfaction, pride in one's school. I don't know.
I mean, I guess it brings you a suite. If you spend enough, you get a suite. You got a place to entertain clients. You know, it gives you an outlet. I mean, I know that's why some people buy tickets to Packers games or buy suites to Bucks games or Brewers games or whatever. I mean, I know I've been to, it's funny, I've been to more games as a fan with Kristen and our friend Brian, because they both have tickets for business. So they take clients and ask me to go along. And, you know, but I've been to more games like that than I have actually been in the press box, just because people want to entertain. and it is an outlet for business. I just wonder what the ROI on stuff like that is. If that's where you're actually solidifying business deals. But just to be paying an athlete, a college athlete, when you don't really know if they're going to be a good player, a bad player, a bust, whatever, it's a big risk to take.
Like Billy Edwards Jr., much smaller scale than some of these coaches and players. Like, I don't know how much Arch Manning is making, but I expect it's significantly higher than Billy Edwards Jr. Billy Edwards Jr. played 1 quarter in the opener.
Right.
And then like 1 snap against Bama.
Yeah.
Right? No, Maryland. That's it.
Yeah.
And how much money is he going to make this year? Okay. Good system that we've created.
Well, go back. What was it? AJ Storr, I think, made like $12 or $15 million with 7 different colleges.
A lot of money, but hey, like when he came to Wisconsin and played, he played at a high level. I'm sure Wisconsin felt at the end of that year that was money well spent, even though he left and went somewhere else. Now, if you talk to the people at Kansas, what they spent on him, it's just so stupid, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was never supposed to be, we're giving you money to come play here. It's you have the opportunity to earn money if you succeed and become a star, which Greg Gard obviously talked about from the rip. And we knew that it was never going to work out that way, but that was the idea. So now you have these schools throwing mountains of money at players. A lot of them don't work out, or coaches. That's always been a thing. But now the players too. It's like Billy Edwards Jr., he's on pace to play less than 1 game this season so far. Yeah. And Wisconsin's, cutting a decently large check for that guy.
I still feel, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I still feel this, though. I still feel like the Badgers are going to keep Luke Fickell. By the way, what did you think of the game this past Saturday? I thought they played better. The offense stinks, but I thought they played better.
Yeah. My problem with, it was better is over the last couple of years, I've seen them play good opponents tough, and it's never led to anything. They've never fought to the end with Oregon, and then next week they've never built on it.
Right.
However, like if we really want to get nitty gritty, like Cooper Catalano and Mason Posa are 2 of Fickell's main guys. Mason Posa probably, notably the number 1 guy from New Mexico, and he was great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, all right. So that's nice. Are those guys going to be back next year? Are you going to improve this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean at the end of the day? I guess that's my question. Plus,
you're right. That's a big question as to whether or not, if you've got these guys that you brought in these 2 top 25 recruiting classes and they stay because Fickell's staying and they say, okay, we're ready to bloom here. We just got to keep it all together and we're going to be okay. And then it starts to come to fruition. Then you're like, okay, the process sucked, but now we start to come out of the other end of the tunnel. But if you see these guys go, this is not what I signed up for, and they leave, and you've got decommits, and then you're left with a handful of then it becomes tenuous. Like, okay, what did you hang on to all of this for? So it's going to be a huge offseason for the Badgers.
I also, not to be this guy, I also think Oregon's a little overrated. That Penn State win doesn't look as strong as it once did. And it was raining. Yeah. So it was probably a little bit easier to play defense and keep Oregon's offense, which is their strength, just a little bit more toned down. So those are just little pieces of context.
Because Ohio State went in there and beat them, and that was considered like this big win for Ohio State to go on the road.
Indiana went in there too.
Yeah, Indiana got them too. Yeah. So that being said, let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot of stuff to get. We're unpacking a lot of stuff. We got coming up bottom of the hour. Chuck Freimund from the Locked On Brewers podcast is going to be here. We'll talk with him a little bit about the end of season pressers from Matt Arnold, and obviously Pat Murphy, and also a little bit of this World Series. And is the world even paying attention to this at this point, other than if maybe you live in Canada? I think there's more people rooting for Canada to win and Toronto than it is the Dodgers. That's for damn sure. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Levine Iceburner. Levine Iceburner attorneys, they're the ones that I use. Brett Iceburner, he's a veteran, same attention to detail that he brings to the law practice, also on the board of directors for Fisher House, Wisconsin. Really good guy. Whether it's personal injury, estate planning, civil litigation, whatever it is, call them. They're the ones that actually answer the phone. They're not figureheads. They don't have slogans. They're just here. Here's the phone number. Call them. They're the ones that build a relationship with. They're the ones that actually go to court for you. Okay. They're not so big that they got to pass you off to 10 different people. They'll actually answer the phone. 608-621-2888. 608-621-2888. Levine Iceburner. 608-621-2888.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ready for the snap and a timeout taken. The team looks a little bit lost. Let's bring in Gina Della from Pella. What's the winning game plan this month?
Wayne, the winning play is simple. A whole house of new windows as low as $297 a month with 0% interest for up to 60 months.
Wow, that's a drive you can sustain for years. No penalties, no interest. A championship move from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
No doubt, Wayne. And unlike the opponent's defense, Pella Windows actually stopped the drafts.
The draft picks we gave up for number one had to be the steal of the century.
True, but I'm talking about replacing old drafty windows.
Roger that. With energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out, you'll stay as toasty as a pan at a warm weather preseason game.
Pay as low as $297 a month for a whole house of new Pella windows.
Plus, with 0% interest for up to 60 months, don't sit on the sidelines, folks. Make your move today.
Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
These course versus Live 71-25.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. Bill Michaels Show. Want to remind you that DJ's goalposts, I keep seeing the pictures, they are getting closer and closer and closer to getting that golf simulator open next door, right there on Appleton Avenue in Menominee Falls. They've already got a tremendous place. It's like watching sports in a museum, in some kind of a memorabilia museum. But next door, they've got the golf simulators that are getting ready to open as well. DJ's Goalpost, Appleton Avenue, Menominee Falls. Don has put together one hell of a collection, whether it's going in there for, shooting a little pool, or you're going to go in there and watch the games, see some of the staff, get some of the good food, or now go next door and check out the golf simulators. They've got something for everybody, and that's our friends over there at DJ's Goalpost. DJ's Goalpost, Appleton Avenue, Menominee Falls. There you go. Good stuff. This is from Max, who says, if you're going to run the football with Josh Jacobs, you run in the red zone. He's been more successful there. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. The problem is it hasn't necessarily been successful in running the ball in your own area, in your own turf, in your own side of the field. They just haven't been able to get conditionally positive yardage to where they put themselves in down and distance situations that are favorable. And some of it is you just got to grind it out. You know, the other portion of it is, like I had mentioned when Peter Bukowski was on, yeah, you got to be able to have sustainability with your offensive line, and your offensive line is just now starting to get cohesive. So you would expect it to get a little bit better. But also, I think that what we've seen out of Josh Jacobs has been the injury. You know, the fact that they've had to kind of put him on a pitch count. I mean, that's indicative of in and of itself of a guy that's not 100%. So once he gets to 100%, you would assume that the between the offensive line cohesiveness, the play calling, being under center more, you know, yada, 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 you can go through that. I would assume the run game will get better. But you need it to get better because we are starting to turn the corner into November. And now's when the run game, specifically at home, which you're going to have a lot of home games coming up, specifically at home, is going to become more prevalent, and you're going to need it. And that's the reason I think the concentration on the run game in so many different facets has to be better and more balanced, at least in my opinion.
And when I say Josh Jacobs hasn't been good, he's been good as a goal line back. And the way that he scored the other night, it's not insignificant. Like, he read the situation and made a veteran savvy play to bounce outside. Like, yeah, he's got value there. But between the 20s, like when the whole goal is keeping your offense on schedule, staying ahead of the sticks, moving the ball, like, he just hasn't offered you a whole lot these last couple of weeks. So shut him down. Yeah. Like, use Emmanuel Wilson. He looked great the other night in a game where nobody else, like, they couldn't run the ball with Jacobs, and then Wilson goes in and immediately provides a spark. Like, just give him the week off against Carolina. That's what I would do.
If you can do it, I would do it. I wouldn't see why not. Or maybe you dress him and only use him if you need him. You know, in case Emmanuel Wilson goes down or something like that. But I would make Emmanuel Wilson the guy and just give him a week off and say, here you go, take a breather. And don't forget, they get the extra day next week too, because they get ready for Carolina, and then they don't have a game until Monday. So if you gave him just a little period of rest and you didn't use him unless you absolutely needed to, and then you had another full week plus the extra day, maybe by then he's coming back more at 100%. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. This one's from Chris. Chris says, hey, guys, I think the Green Bay Packers' problems are Matt LaFleur in the play calling. He doesn't get into a rhythm until the second half of ball game. Yep. Yes, because all the criticism is going to fall upon the Matt LaFleur. But let me back it up here for a second. You can call plays and put guys into a rhythm. I 100% understand that. At what point, though, do you look and go, you know, the offensive line wasn't really opening up holes? You know, you had 3 dropped third down passes that would have extended drives. I agree 100% that I've noticed patterns. I began to chart patterns, specifically shotgun versus under center, handoffs out of shotgun, handoffs under center. Statistically speaking, what is and isn't working. Okay, I'm trying to kind of figure this out to get a methodology of the play calling. But make no mistake about it, some of these things have basically been the X's and O's, the guys that are actually on the field, the execution on the field. So maybe it's engagement. Like, until they go in at halftime, some guys are just kind of like sleepwalking. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. But it all goes hand in hand. But I agree. I think getting out of as much shotgun, which has always bothered me. And we heard, who was it? Was it Collinsworth that was talking about it on the Sunday night game? Or where was I listening to something else, an analyst? I can't remember. Talking about how much shotgun is being used and how that's being a detriment to many offenses in the National Football League, because coaches fall in love with it because the quarterbacks love it, because the quarterbacks can see the field, as opposed to actually perfecting your craft as a quarterback under center and then thus being able to hide the football from the defense, really give good play action, sell the play action, sell the handoff, sell the pitch, all that stuff, get a defense thinking for that split second, and then being able to open up your offense, whether it's through the run game or the passing game, short outs, deep balls, whatever. And we haven't seen that consistently. So it's not just in Green Bay, but I do notice that it is a predominant part of the offense, especially in the first half of ball games. Out of the 262, just curious, how far away is Marshawn Lloyd from coming back? We were talking about that. Nobody knows. And I was going to talk to Mike Clemens about it. Mike's actually on a flight right now coming out of Pittsburgh. So, by the way, Grant, did you see Mike went to that deli and got that giant pastrami sandwich?
Oh, yeah.
It's as big as his head. He got a massive sandwich in Pittsburgh. But I'll tell you this, there is nobody that takes advantage of travel more than Mike Clemens does. Nobody I know.
Him and number 2 might be Chuck Freimund, who we got coming up next. He's never seen a press box accommodation he doesn't like.
Nope. But Mike's just out exploring. Mike's living his best life right now. So let's do this. We're going to step out. We will talk about the aforementioned Chuck Freimund. He's going to join us. We're going to talk a little baseball when we come back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Stoley's Hog Alley. Stoley's Hog Alley on Venice Beach Road in Oconomowoc. Had a couple of friends that went there on Friday night. We went out to a social house. They went to Stoley's. And Chris, who I talk to all the time, he's kind of the fish fry connoisseur. Loved it. Said it was one of his top 5. Stoley's Hog Alley in Lake Country. Great fish fry. Same thing with Stolzel 109 on County Road R in Watertown. Both places are awesome. And whether you're going there for the fish fry on Fridays or just the atmosphere, the fun, the cold beers, they always have a little bit of music going on. Great stuff. And they've been around a long time. Stoley's Hog Alley has. And Stolzel 109, still relatively new, but same great owners, same great staff, same great people. Check out either place, Venice Beach Road in Oconomowoc, Stoley's Hog Alley, or County Road R in Watertown. That is Stolzel 109. Chuck Freimund, next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We're back. Bill Michaels Show on this Tuesday edition. As you've got the end of the season came for the Milwaukee Brewers, and we're not happy about it by any stretch of the imagination. I'll tell you that right now. But that being said, you now got a World Series going on. You've had Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold. Matt Arnold's been promoted. You've had all of that happen, and they've had their end-of-season press conference, and now you got to wait and see what happens this upcoming offseason, because you would assume there's going to be some change. I don't know how much, but you would assume there's going to be some. The biggest name that's probably got a lot of swirl going on right now is going to be Freddie Peralta. To talk more about all of this regarding baseball, it's our buddy Chuck Freimund from the Locked On Brewers podcast. Chucker, how you doing, pal?
Hey, Bill. Bill, always great catching up with you here on a Tuesday and talking some baseball. Did you happen to stay up late until 2 a.m.?
I was watching the game, and I woke up at about 3:30 this morning with the remote in my hand. My glasses were still on. I'm laying back, doing that choke thing, because my head's tilted back. Yeah. And I missed the end of it, but I was watching it until about the 11th inning, and then I was okay. That was it for me. So didn't make it all the way through.
It's when I look back and I'm watching the Dodgers playing the World Series here, and it's not like they're just beating up teams offensively. The Brewers did a nice job pitching wise against them. Mm-hmm. It's just that when I saw Blake Snell and had that rough start against Toronto in Game 1, I'm like, wow, the Jays found a way to tag that Dodger pitching, but the Dodger pitching settled down the last 2 games here. But right. I don't know. I mean, it's just, it's a matter of just finding some offense in these postseason games.
Yeah. And I would completely agree. They've dubbed it the $610 million series because that's what's been spent between these 2 teams. So we all know that there's a ton of money here. That being said, the Brewers are on the lower end of that when it comes to their postseason, and their talk is about whether or not they can afford to even keep, Freddie Peralta and what they're going to do there. What did you take away from the end of season press conference with Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold?
Well, as these things usually go, Bill, they never give you the keys to the kingdom and tell you what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's not like Matt Arnold was going to sit up there and say, well, yeah, we're going to try to deal Freddie Peralta because he's in our final year, and who wants him?
Right.
No, they're going to talk glowingly about everybody, even guys who had down years, because everything's on the table. Obviously, there's a couple of guys who they wouldn't trade, but there's a few guys like Freddie. They're going to talk Freddie up, and they should. Or whether or not they're not going to. Yeah, and I think they will trade him here because that's their MO. When pitchers get to this point, going into the final year of their contract, they will deal them off, and that's the case with any good pitcher that they've had. They don't keep them around. They'll keep a position player like Willie Adames to finish out the contract, but they won't do that with pitching. Didn't take a whole heck of a lot because, again, these guys, in general, these press conferences, Bill, let's face it, they don't really tell you a whole heck of a lot anyway, because you think they're going to go in one direction, and then on any given December day, there's 3 trades made.
Right. I would agree. Did Matt Arnold address we've been talking about it for years now, the third base, the left field position? Clearly you want Christian Yelich as your DH, or he's going to, but did they address they're not going to give you the keys to the kingdom, but to say that there are upgrades that are needed. I know they're going to really kind of pump up the guys that they have in the Isaac Collins of the world, sure. But we all know, you'd have to be an idiot savant to say, that there's no need here. There's no upgrade capability here. They definitely need to upgrade at both of those positions.
Well, if I was going to read into anything, it's this: when Murphy was talking about Collins, that he's going to have to earn himself a spot. He's going to have to earn him. He might be behind a few guys right now. And here's a guy who was the rookie of the year at one point during the regular season. Didn't play much toward the end. He came back from paternity leave, and he kind of lost himself defensively and offensively, and kind of fell out of favor with the coaching staff there. So he's a guy who might be on the outside looking in, and maybe nothing more than a 4th or 5th outfielder, and at times maybe played up over his head this season. I think that's one thing I think you have to look at. Mm-hmm. There's a few guys on this team like Quinn Priester and Isaac Collins is another one. Tobias Myers, obviously, who didn't have the best of seasons. You have to look at it and say, did these guys finally find it at the age of 26 or 27, or were they just on a hot streak? Was right. Tobias Myers last year, when he was pitcher of the year in the organization with 9-6, did he just have everything going right for him, and that was just maybe a lucky year? Or did Isaac Collins just have everything going for him this summer, and he's coming back down to life a little bit? Did Quinn Priester, who was 13-3, who's bounced around from Boston to Pittsburgh, did he have is this the real Quinn Priester? Or was some of it what we saw against the Cubs in the postseason there, although he did bounce back and pitched well against the Dodgers in relief. Right. So I think there's a couple of those guys you have to look at and say, which is the real player, this one or that one? You see some of the rumors that, could they move on and stay with Jansen and catching? And I'm like, why in the world would you get rid of Contreras, who has been so good behind the plate? And for guys like Priester, you got a young guy that's coming up in Mizorowski. The guy called brilliant games and helped them, one of the better framers in all of baseball. Why in the world are there rumors out there that maybe the Brewers would not hang on to him? Yeah, I don't get that either, because he has said all the right things too, that he wants to spend his career in Milwaukee, although right. he does not want to talk about a contract extension just yet. He's going to have that hand look and maybe looking at surgery to kind of finally fix that hand here in the offseason that he played through this season. As far as rumors are concerned, there's also rumors about Freddie Peralta, that Detroit might be interested. Mm-hmm. Houston, of course, the New York Mets, who can't get out of their own way at times. They just they are a team looking for pitching. What else do they need? They're looking for pitching, and they might be interested in Peralta as well. So, the rumor mill has been flying as of late on where some of these guys have gone. But, going from Contreras to Danny Jansen, we love Danny Jansen because he's from Wisconsin, but take Contreras on that deal any day of the week.
How close is Cooper Pratt and Jesus Mate to act? Because I don't think they're ready yet. I don't see them coming up, but maybe mid-season, if one of them is having a really hot season, maybe they work themselves into something like that. But I don't see them on the come this year. Do you?
Either do I. I've seen projections where Pratt could come up this year at some point. When I'm talking this year, 2026. Mm-hmm. Mate probably 2027, I would say. unless they fast track him and he just. But he's kind of roadblocked a little bit at the positions, both of those guys, because right now you got Terang, Ortiz, and Durbin ahead of both of those guys. And Ortiz, I think, will get traded eventually. But I don't see Mate, and maybe even 2028 for Mate, who's 18, 19 years old. He might be, it might be a little bit with him. Pratt, both those guys can steal the bases, run a little bit. Pratt didn't. I don't think he had a real great year down at the minors, but I don't see either one of those guys. I don't see him up in 2026.
Yeah, I don't yet either. I mean, Cooper Pratt, obviously in AAA, and he's probably the closest to being, coming up. I guess you got to look at it only being 21 years old. Is he going to be better than Joey Ortiz? Or do you bring him up early and hope that he's better than Ortiz? I mean, fielding wise, we know Cooper Pratt's really good, but is he better offensively? Because if he is, do you take that chance and just say, you know what, Joey, thanks, but no thanks, because you're tremendous in the field, but you can't hit water if you fall out of a boat. I just don't think they're going to bring Cooper Pratt up just yet, even though he's coming out. He's going to go to AAA this coming season. He's in AA right now.
Yeah. I think the plan, here's my projection what the plan is going to be. And I have thought this all season long, that Terang is going to play shortstop. Terang is going to play shortstop. Durbin is going to play second. And Ortiz is going to be the odd man out there. I think Ortiz might be part of a trade package maybe in the offseason. That's my guess. I don't feel offensively that they like what he brings to the table. You could see some shifting around. They wanted to move Terang to shortstop last year during spring training. They eventually decided not to do that. But I think that's the shuffle you're going to get. Durbin did a nice job at third base this year, but I think really second base is where they'll put him and then maybe get themselves a third baseman. I don't think Ortiz is part of this future. And then, they'll look at 2027 when they get to that point. But I think we'll see a little infield shuffle going into spring training.
I'm kind of hoping they go with a veteran third baseman that's got some pop. And again, going back to Cooper Pratt, I mean, coming out of AA, he only hit 239. It's not like he burned it up down there in Biloxi. So, but I know that's at least a little bit of the talk. Before I let you go, obviously the division's going to change. I know there's some positives coming out of the Cubs organization. I'm reading things about the Cardinals organization, although I think the Cardinals are still going to be on the downside of things, even though some of these guys are open to being traded. And maybe they can start to reshuffle the deck down there in St. Louis. Cincinnati obviously is going to be a player as well, a team that made it to the postseason. I still look at the Brewers as the team to beat in the division, but I think the gap between them and the Cubs is a lot closer. Cincinnati, in my opinion, is still a distant third, but it's now a top-heavy division. It's going to be those three teams. To me, I still think St. Louis and Pittsburgh stinks, but I think St. Louis is going to be right there in fourth place in this division going into next season. But I still think the Brewers are the team to beat, even though the gap between them and the Cubs is closed. Do you?
Yeah, and even the Reds, though, they got a good young team. They made the postseason, remember, and then they got beat by the Dodgers in that wild card round. So I do think the Brewers right now, as of here October 28th, are the best team in the National League Central. But I thought the Cubs were going to close the gap last offseason. They did a little bit, maybe not much. The Brewers still won this division handily, but it's a big offseason for four of those five teams. Save the Pittsburgh Pirates, who will never contend in this division.
Always good to talk to you, Chuck. Appreciate it. Where do they find your stuff?
Bill, Locked On Brewers, we're still going 5 days a week, daily here in the offseason. Locked On Brewers, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. And, of course, our growing YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell there for the alerts. Anytime we drop an episode, all the content is free. But we'll be updating Brewers news as it happens all winter long.
Great stuff as always. Chuck, we'll talk to you soon, okay?
You got it, Bill.
Appreciate it, bud. There you go. Chuck Freimund, Locked On Brewers podcast. Go to YouTube and find Locked On Brewers. And like he said, ring the bell. Ring the bell. You can do the same thing for our program. You go to youtube.com/Bill Michael Show. Get it on the daily. Get the huddle on Wednesday nights. And you can also take a look at us via the postgame show, the Green Gold postgame show as well. There you go. Good stuff. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We got a lot more to get to, including a quirky little thing that we'll discuss when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michael Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ready for the snap and a timeout taken. The team looks a little bit lost. Let's bring in Gina Della from Pella. What's the winning game plan this month?
Wayne, the winning play is simple. A whole house of new windows as low as $297 a month with 0% interest for up to 60 months.
Wow, that's a drive you can sustain for years. No penalties, no interest. A championship move from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
No doubt, Wayne. And unlike the opponent's defense, Pella Windows actually stopped the drafts.
The draft picks we gave up for number one had to be the steal of the century.
True, but I'm talking about replacing old drafty windows.
Roger that. With energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out, you'll stay as toasty as a pan at a warm weather preseason game.
Pay as low as $297 a month for a whole house of new Pella windows.
Plus, with 0% interest for up to 60 months, don't sit on the sidelines, folks. Make your move today.
Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
These restrictions apply. 7/1/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's Tuesday, Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on, gotta say thanks to our friends at Potawatomi. Potawatomi Hotel, Casino, Sportsbook, restaurants, music, bands, DJs, thumping, all the entertainment in one complex under one roof. That is Potawatomi. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Again, paysbig.com. Check out our friends at Potawatomi Sportsbook, and you can see everything they have going on. They have got, I tell you what, on Thursday nights in the Dream Dance Steakhouse, man, they've got a really good prime rib. Holy mackerel. Good stuff. There's good food all over the place there now with the street eats and everything. But check out Potawatomi. Go to paysbig.com and see all the promotions, everything they have going on. Become part of the Firekeepers Club. So many different things. So many different things going on at Potawatomi Sportsbook. So here's a little nugget for you. And I don't think it's a major ordeal. But after the game on Sunday, Packers rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden, his Instagram account has gone away. Now, I usually, this is what happens. Usually something will be posted that'll make everybody raise their eyebrow. What is this? And then all of a sudden the post is gone. But usually you don't delete your entire Instagram account, which it's gone dark. His Instagram account has vanished. And by Monday morning, the profile deactivated. Plenty of speculation that he's frustrated now. I don't know how you go from deactivating your account to equating that to being frustrated with your rookie year. Maybe you don't want to be receiving messages from people, but it's now become a thing. Oh my God, Matthew Golden's unhappy. He's not being used enough. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're a rookie. I don't think he came in expecting to be Justin Jefferson on day one. Certainly he's had a focus at times in the offense. I think they go with who has the hot hand, which is not a bad thing. But after 7 games to be upset, we'll talk a little bit more about this on the next side of the hour. But there's a buzz about this now. People are freaking out over social media stuff. Nah, not worried about it, but we'll talk about it. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Sports Zone Update.
Well, the Bucs are back home tonight as they welcome in the Knicks for their first matchup of the season. Milwaukee coming off its first loss of the year in Cleveland. Came without starting guard Kevin Porter Jr. He will also be out tonight with a left ankle sprain, but Giannis Antetokounmpo says injuries or not, there can be no excuses for losses this year.
It's going to be a bunch of guys that play hard, that make plays, that space the floor the right way, guys that make open shots, and guys that give everything every single night and make it every single night a ball fight. It's going to be a fight every single night. It doesn't matter who plays. If I don't play, we got to have the same mentality. So good teams don't lose 2 in a row. Got to go back home and play against the Knicks, and hopefully we can get a win.
Again, it'll be the Knicks and Bucks tonight at Fiserv Forum. Tip is set for 7. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin basketball team getting closer to the start of its season. They're going to close out exhibition play tomorrow against UW Platteville at the Kohl Center. Then they will open the year next Monday against Campbell at home. Badgers will start the season ranked number 24 in the Associated Press poll.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash game show. Just play with your rewards card this October for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to rake in a huge pile of cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at potawatomi.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Well, it's an off day for the Packers up in Green Bay. They'll get back in the field tomorrow to start preparing for a visit from Carolina on Sunday. Panthers 4-4 on the year, but coming off a 40-9 loss to Buffalo this past weekend. Green Bay, meanwhile, 5-1-1 and in first place in the NFC North. Kick on Sunday is at noon. And Wisconsin is off this week. They'll return from their bye week next Saturday against Washington. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in
Bill Michaels Show. So glad you are with us on this Tuesday edition. Hopefully your day is going well. Is the young rookie wide receiver, Matthew Golden, is he upset? Is there problems? Something brewing in Green Bay after the Packers' 35-21 win over the Steelers on Sunday? You wake up the next day, you notice that something's not right. Matthew Golden's Instagram account has vanished. The profile deactivated. And now there's speculation that he may be frustrated with his early struggles and that the noise that's coming along with that was intolerable. So he got rid of his Instagram account. Just had 3 passes, 4 yards in the win the other night. And it's kind of been a bit of a quiet debut year. But the good news about it is that, you if you go back through the history of the Packers and you look at look at a guy like, we'll just take Davante Adams, for example. His first couple of years were nondescript. He came into a situation where there was a lot of wide receivers on this team. And then as time went on, he perfected his skill and became Davante Adams. He wasn't Davante Adams his first year. Now considered one of the better wide receivers that are still active today in the league. Justin Jefferson, through the first half of his career, or the first half of his first season in Minnesota, he was good, but he wasn't great. He didn't become Justin Jefferson. He really didn't start emerging until later down the road. Now you got Christian Watson coming back, the emergence of Tucker Kraft. You could see maybe a little bit of a slip in some of the snaps that Matthew Golden's going to get, but you got guys that are experienced. You got Romeo Doubs. You got Josh Jacobs out of the backfield. You got to run the ball. You got so many touches for so many people. You got a depth. You got a pool there. Malik Heath gets into the mix. Dontavian Wicks has been in the mix. Golden snaps could slip a little bit. He's got, we've seen just a couple of, go back to the Cincinnati game. He was a guy that suddenly became 4 catches, 4 targets, 4 catches. He became kind of a little bit of a target. But he's not the focus of the offense. That being said, I'm not concerned about Matthew Golden deleting his Instagram account. I'm sure it's going to be some kind of a topic for conversation tomorrow when the Packers are back, on the practice field and the locker room is open. People are going to ask about it. He doesn't necessarily have to talk about it. But rookies hit rough patches, especially in a deeper pool of offensive players like the Packers have. So, Grant, does this bother you at all? Had somebody not brought it to my attention, I really wouldn't have cared.
I have no time for superstar wide receivers deleting their Instagrams.
Right.
I certainly don't for a rookie through 7 or 8 games. I don't think that Matthew Golden should have 8 catches and 100 yards every week, nor should he feel that he should.
Right.
I am a little confused at how they've chosen to use him at times. Like, he's not a punt returner.
Right.
And he's not really a gadget guy. He's a polished downfield route runner. So if they were using him that way and he just wasn't getting a whole lot of looks, that's fine. I just wish they used him in the role that I thought they drafted him for.
Right.
Which is polished, trustworthy downfield route runner, not jet sweep punt returner gadget guy, because that's not him and that's never been him. So I get that. But dude, you've been in the NFL for like 2 months. I don't want to hear
it. Here's what drives me a little bit nuts. And I get it. There's a lot of speculation, and he is the first, wide receiver that's been taken in 22 years. It's well documented, yada, yada. But when it comes to deletion of Instagram, it says, as if you go like AI wise, Google, and you start to read this stuff. And again, I hate to do this, but it also says that he has struggled to find his consistency in the first NFL season, and he might be tired of hearing about it from the fans. In other words, we don't really know why he deleted it. It could be that. It could be he just wanted to focus on football, didn't want to worry about Instagram. He so famously took that picture of him walking down the runway of the stage with Packers fans in the background when he was drafted. It was great. We all enjoyed it. We loved it. Still do. But maybe the guy's just like, you know what? I just want to concentrate on football. I've got a lot of other social media distractions. Maybe he's like a lot of us that scroll and you get caught up in stuff. You're like, you know what? I need to eliminate this from my life, man. I can't scroll like this every damn day. I got to focus on other things. Who knows?
I deleted my Instagram off my phone like 2 weeks ago just because I'm on Twitter like all day. I'm like, I gotta cut out a little bit of this.
Yeah,
no, I didn't delete my whole account, and I'm not a wide receiver who are notorious for doing stuff like this. But it's interesting, just something to think about, to kick around on sports talk radio. Otherwise, why are we here if we're not going to discuss, silly sports stories like this? Then what are we doing?
So but stuff like this, again, you're right. It's a silly sports story. I'm not concerned about it. Now, if he was outwardly say he's AJ Brown, not being used here, but not here, and whatever else has gone on, okay, then maybe there's an issue. Maybe you've got a diva, a problem, but Matthew Golden hasn't been any of that. But because he deleted something rather than posting something, it's got everybody running wild with speculation that somehow he's down on his first season. You'd love to come in and be the guy. Everybody would. But, I'm sure he's got a support group around him inside that locker room that says, hey, look, we got a lot of good guys here. You're not the guy right away. Doesn't mean you're not going to be the guy. Just means you're not the guy today. So this to me is somewhat of a non-story, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, no reason to address that any further unless he does tomorrow, but we'll kind of, get into that a little bit if there's something said specifically. In the meantime, Matt LaFleur, head coach of your Green Bay Packers, talking with the media yesterday. Take a listen.
Anything surprise you yesterday, the way Christian came back?
No, it's the same thing that we've been seeing in practice. Guy that just, obviously, he brings an element to our offense and to our team, just the size, the speed. And I've talked about it many times, just his versatility. So I think that definitely showed true because you saw his presence felt not only in the passing game with those explosion plays, but also as a blocker downfield. I mean, he had a heck of a block on Tucker's, his first touchdown. There was some good stuff in the run game. So he's just a really valuable piece for us.
Was there a plan for reps on him? Because he ended up playing like 36 snaps. Was that the plan, or was it a little longer? More?
Did you feel good about it, Rob?
I feel good.
Okay, yeah, so do I.
On that field.
Yeah. He played a little bit more than probably anticipated, but, that was something that we were monitoring the whole game. Flea does a great job with that. I thought, Vrabes did a good job getting him in and out, him and Mahaffey. So, because I don't think you can treat every play the same. It's different if you're on the backside, if you're run blocking versus if you're running a post down the field. So I think there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
Now, when you look at the tape, can you tell that he forces the defense to play differently against you? Can you tell that, or is that not something you can discern?
No, I mean, typically most defenses, if a guy's going deep, somebody got to guard him. So whether it's him or somebody else, I don't necessarily know how much that factors in. Where you can tell is just like the detail with how we do certain things. He's played a lot of ball for us, and he has a great understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. And I think really, as good as we played in moments, it was still pretty sloppy when I went back and watched the tape. So that's why, we're always going to be about the process. And I know the results weren't great in the first half, and they were much better in the second half, but there was still some sloppy play in the second half. So you can't ignore that. I mean, you got to get it fixed. We were able to overcome it.
I asked Quay last night if 2022 Quay Walker would have been able to restrain himself when DK went at him, and he said, hell no. What sort of growth have you seen from him, not only as a player, but in kind of the guy he is?
Oh, yeah. He's wearing a C on his jersey for a reason. He's definitely earned it, and I think just the growth, you've seen him as a player. He's playing at a really high level right now, but the maturity that he's shown, and I told him after the game, I mean, I was really proud of him for how he represented what we want to be about. Just playing between the whistles, playing nasty between the whistles, and then let them do all that extra stuff. And I thought that just was a big time, a really mature moment for him.
There's a couple of provocations, right?
There's a little chippy out there.
Just in terms of what DK did to Quay, like he stuck the finger in the mat.
Yeah, I mean that's not easy to not respond, but that is, in my eyes, that's the epitome of being team first. Allow them get. That was a critical penalty in the game. You're talking going from 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 17. Now you're in a chunk defense, and they got to check the ball down, and they're punting. So, yeah, it was a big time play. The way I look at it, that was as good as the takeaway.
Matt, did you talk to McManus either after the game or today and just get a feel for, whether his leg was sore or he wasn't as strong or what might have been going on yesterday?
I mean, kickers miss kicks. That's what I can tell you. And, we always have a line to gain prior to the opening kick based on how the warm-ups went, and we stretched it in that situation. The first one, I think we were on the 39-yard line. In hindsight, I wish we would have because I had told Jordan, hey, potentially based on what we're doing here, you might have 4 downs. It's just, do you stretch the line to gain to kick a longer field goal? Or do you go for on 4th and 10? I mean, I guess you could always punt there, but that really wasn't on my mind just with where we were on the field. So I'd rather, stretch that line a little bit, and unfortunately just came up short. And then, he just missed it at the end of the half. So it is what it is.
What went into the decision to play Valentine as much as you did over Hobbs?
I think just when you look at a lot of these situations, we always talk about how it's going to be a competitive situation, and it was just that. And it's a lot of it comes down to not only, obviously everybody sees how you perform in a game, but what nobody sees is what we're doing on a daily basis in practice. And so CV got an opportunity, and he went out there, and I thought he played really competitively the entire game. And I know even on the touchdown catch, I just loved how he competed for the football. I thought that was big time, and it didn't go our way in that moment. But I thought all in all, he showed physicality. He was challenging guys. There was just no gimmies. And I thought that was big time, because that's how we want to play. We may be in a 3-deep zone defense, but you still got to be sticky in some regards in your coverage. You can't just be, just giving up freebies all the way down the field. So we want those corners to challenge. And at the same time, it's going to continue to be a competitive situation, because we still have a ton of confidence in Hobbs. So all of those guys, Keyshawn, they're all going to be competing for playing time.
Matt, I don't want to take anything away from what Emmanuel is doing out there, but I just want to ask the question, are you seeing defenses play you differently when Jacobs is in the backfield versus when Wilson goes out there?
Not necessarily. I think it's just some of the circumstances. Sometimes we did a good job blocking, and other times we didn't. And I thought E did a really nice job of running his feet after contacting and getting yards after contact. You saw it. Shoot, the last carry of the game. That was big time, because they're in a 6-2 front, and they got everybody loaded up on the line of scrimmage, and he's able to work his way through and kept his legs moving and pick up a first down so we could kneel out the clock. But and then you saw it on one of those checkdowns, just his ability to break tackles. And I was really happy for him. He was playing with a little bit of a heavy heart, and just left it all out there for him.
So what? It's probably a whole bunch of things, but the run game seemed like it got going against Dallas, and Cincinnati. It's kind of obviously hit this stage yesterday with Josh. What's holding you guys back from getting to where you want to get to?
Detail. details. Some of it, certainly, I mean, we could call better plays at times. There was a 2nd and 10 when they were loaded up in man coverage and we ran a 1-by-3 set. We ran inside zone with a bubble on the other side. And, that's not a great look for man coverage. So, sometimes we have a lot of run pass cans within our offense. And, when you get the look to run the ball, you have to be efficient. Otherwise it's hard. You're trying to put yourself in one of the best positions possible in those premier looks. And they just haven't been as effective as they have in the past at times. So, but there's many instances where we're not targeted right, or we don't use the right technique, or we lose a block, and there's nowhere to run. So we've got to sharpen up our details. Like I mentioned, I thought the tape was it just seemed like there was a lot of plays where one guy, it's all it takes is one person not being as effective as they need to be, and the play goes to crap. So collectively, we got to make sure that we get all 11 doing their job and doing it the right way. And I just thought that there was just a lack of detail, whether it's alignments or techniques or whatever it may be.
Nick Neiman's back injury, is that going to be a bad one?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. I haven't gotten the final word yet, but we're concerned about it.
Matt, how did Jordan's performance look on film? Because it sure looked damn impressive live.
Yeah, I thought it was really impressive. He just, because he was making some high level throws down the field, and there were other ones that, we were pushing the ball from early on in the game down the field. We didn't connect on a couple of those, but I thought all in all, he did a great job. He was in complete command of the game, made a couple off schedules. So I thought just all in all, he played really, really well.
Is there something, like reading what the guys said to Matt and Rob, like talking about how, he's the successor and all the reaction that his teammates had, for him to do that in a game where Aaron's the other quarterback, the guys already believed in him, I understand, but is there something more to it when he's able to do it in that situation?
Well, I think it's pretty meaningful I think that speaks also to the respect that we have for a guy like Aaron Rodgers and the guys that were here and were able to witness and see how he would perform, not only on the Sundays, but also in practice and all that. But Jordan's shown a ton of growth. We have a ton of confidence in him. And I thought he played a complete game.
We've asked you about every receiver under the sun about, does this guy need to get more targets and that guy need to get more targets? So I'm not going to ask that, but with Tucker's gotten a lot of targets the last 2 games, is that a byproduct of he's just the guy who's getting open, or is he so effective you're trying to get him the ball a little bit more?
I'd say it's both. Certainly we want to get everybody involved. But the bottom line is it's about winning. It's about moving the football. It's about scoring points. And a lot of times you can't dictate what coverages teams are going to play. And that certainly dictates where the ball is going to end up going. So, within every game plan, we try to put in things for each individual. I just can't guarantee where the ball is going to go unless we're calling a jet sweep or a screen to a guy. Then you can pretty much force feed it. But, that was not a good team to run those types of plays against because they were so wide with their edges and they do such a good job getting out of the stack in the screen game. So when you watch them on tape, they weren't as effective. What was more effective was actually dropping back and throwing the football, kind of like what Cincinnati did.
So Matt, it's about winning, and you want all your guys to be that way, and most of the time they probably are. But what about when they're not? How do you handle, a guy who doesn't feel great about the number of targets? Do you have conversations with them? Like, how do you make sure that, I know your heart's in the right place trying to get everybody, but it doesn't always work out that way. So how do you handle that with guys?
Yeah, I think every situation is a little bit different in regards. If you can feel it and you know something's going on, then you absolutely, I mean, you're not going to run away from potential problems. You're going to attack it head on. At least that's how we operate, and that's how I'll continue to operate here. But yeah, and I know it can be frustrating for these guys. Look how far Tuck's come. I mean, would it take him like 8 games before he got his first reception his rookie year? So you just never know within the process. That's why you just got to keep working and try to do your job.
There you go. That is Matt LaFleur. There's a lot to kind of get into, okay, because he addressed some of the things that we were talking about before he went in to this discussion, specifically not pointed at Matthew Golden, but obviously trying to get guys involved. When we come back, we'll talk with Mike Clemens about this. Mike joining us live on the phone when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ready for the snap and a timeout taken. The team looks a little bit lost. Let's bring in Gina Della from Pella. What's the winning game plan this month?
Wayne, the winning play is simple. A whole house of new windows as low as $297 a month with 0% interest for up to 60 months.
Wow, that's a drive you could sustain for years. No penalties, no interest. A championship move from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
No doubt, Wayne. And unlike the opponent's defense, Pella Windows actually stopped the drafts.
The draft picks we gave up for number 1 had to be the steal of the century.
True, but I'm talking about replacing old drafty windows.
Roger that. With energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out, you'll stay as toasty as a pan at a warm weather preseason game.
Pay as low as $297 a month for a whole house of new Pella windows.
Plus, with 0% interest for up to 60 months, don't sit on the sidelines, folks. Make your move today.
Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show on a Tuesday edition, winging his way back from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm sure a little bit heavier after eating that pastrami sandwich that was bigger than his head. Mike Clemens going to join us, brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Bay Motel, quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau Field with home-style cooking 7 days a week right there in Green Bay. Only a mile from Lambeau. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Call them direct, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. Our guy, Mike Clemens, joining us on the hotline right now. Michael, how you doing, pal?
Heavy. Yeah, I'm heavy. Yeah, I'm pretty heavy. It's that chain they've got, the famous chain in Pittsburgh, Clementi Brothers, been around since 1933. Back in the day when we were covering McCarthy and coming back here to his hometown of Pittsburgh, we said, hey, what's Coach, what should we do? And he recommended that place to us. So a lot of the guys, I never managed to get there for whatever reason. So, and I've even got listeners that say, dude, you got it. Okay. So I went last night. It was good. It's not quite as good though as when you took us to the Carnegie Deli in New York and we covered the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, that was crazy, but good stuff last night. No, I'm listening to I'm coming back from Pittsburgh today. I always come back on Tuesdays because, I'm doing all reports on Mondays. And frankly, especially after a night game, I get done about 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm usually the last one to leave the stadium, and I get ready for our reports on the Bill Michaels Show on Mondays. So it's just easier to come out on Tuesday because there's nothing going on. Also gives me more time to monitor the team that the Packers just played. But this is interesting to hear you saying now. Folks are noticed that Matthew Golden has deleted his Instagram account. Now, if I was covering the Philadelphia Eagles instead of the Packers, that would be significant because, A.J. Brown is posting stuff like seemingly every other week.
Right.
Where he's disgruntled. There's nothing that I've seen at all from your first-round draft pick in terms of him being disgruntled, but eager to learn. They've given him opportunities to return punts. They kind of replaced the bat with they put in Keisha on the other night. They had a muff return. And then Romeo returned one. And in terms of Sunday night's game, with Tucker Kraft being the favored receiver, that's the way it works out. And, the coaches or the quarterback are going to tell you every time, we're doing this for matchups, folks.
Right.
We come to the line. We see what kind of coverage is. We see what their game plan is designed to do. Who are they going to try and take out? And that's going to look for someone else. And as you just heard LaFleur talking about there from his press conference, guess what? We watched what the Bengals did with Joe Flacco and where they attacked the Steelers secondary, and we did the same thing. And it was Tucker that was going to be open on this stuff and wide open. There's some tremendous passes to Christian Watson as well. And I think just the fact that the Packers kept their cards close to the vest for 3 weeks, and they launched Christian Watson on those guys right up until, game time Sunday night. The Steelers, they had to prepare for that, but they were going off a tape from last year on Watson, right?
Right.
So that was another card that they could play. And so if Matthew Golden didn't have that big of a night, well, not to be expected, but I don't see him leading that account because of, a lack of attention on a big game on Sunday night.
Right.
I certainly see it because the ridiculous posts that people are making about these guys. There's a post about Jordan Love. I won't give details. It's totally false that says he made this big anti-political statement there's other ones where they say Jordan Love has just donated $1 million to a charity. It's all false. It's all fake. And there's these accounts on social media now because we decided we didn't want Mark Zuckerberg or the other social platforms to edit these lies. So they took all those filters off. Now these clowns, these crooks, they make up these fake accounts. They make up fake stories of entertainers or players. They get a bunch of clicks and they automatically get revenue for it because they're getting so much traffic off of fake stories. And I can see a kid like Matthew Gold saying, I don't want anything. I want my privacy. I'll put my shields up. I'll just delete this crap. That could be a good reason why you see some of that social media stuff go away.
Right. And which I agree. And I've even said that there's some of these Packers accounts that I see on Facebook and Instagram, totally bogus headlines. It's about guys going in the Hall of Fame. And then you get thousands of comments and this guy deserves it, this guy doesn't. And it's a completely bogus story. I completely understand it. Mike, I did want to ask you, we had some questions yesterday and today. Marshawn Lloyd, nowhere to be found. What is going on with Marshawn Lloyd? Because he was kind of like on the PUP list and could come back after the 4 weeks, and he's nowhere to be seen right now.
We haven't asked, but he's still in the locker room. So he's still getting treatment, still going through the program. So he's still in the house. And, I see him talking to players. I haven't talked to him in a while, and that's probably a good question. We're due for an update on that for tomorrow's press conference with Matt LaFleur. I got to tell you, okay, here comes a bad joke. Lee Remmel, the longtime Packers historian, used to say that when Carroll Dale got really ticked off that Bart was giving the ball to Lloyd, to Boyd Dowler, he took his name out of the white pages in Green Bay just to show that he was ticked off. Okay. That's my 1960s humor right there. Marshawn Lloyd, because you've got Josh Jacobs hurt right now, and that's you spent a third round draft pick on that guy last year, and is that guy ever going to be a factor? Emmanuel Wilson had some nice runs in the game. There's one other thing I want to talk about while I don't forget. 2 or 3 things quickly. Have we got time?
Yeah, go ahead. You want a break real quick, and then I'll come right back to you?
Yeah.
Let's take
a break.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're talking to Mike Clemens. He's joining us on the Schneider Orange Hotline. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mike's in an airport. We'll find out when we come back, but don't go anywhere. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Stay tuned. More with Mike Clemens coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Truck drivers, the holiday rush is here. Take advantage by becoming a Schneider driver. By driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy during the holiday season and throughout the new year. Plus, as a Schneider driver, you'll have access to top quality driver support and newer equipment spec'd with the latest safety and comfort features that drivers want. Don't wait. Get a jump on 2026 by exploring jobs in your area today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on this Tuesday. Talking some football. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline, getting out of Pittsburgh. And Mike, we were talking about Marshawn Lloyd and the fact that they have not given us an update on him. And then you got into the discussion a little bit regarding Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, I know people keep saying, well, he doesn't look right, but he's been banged up. You tell me how banged up he is, because it's not that he looks a step slow. He just doesn't look like he's hitting the hole as hard as maybe he has in the past. And Matt LaFleur just got done saying that it's been problematic. It's been just the details. It's been one block here or there, a guy not holding a block long enough. That's kind of been the nemesis of the run game for this team.
2 weeks ago, Josh Jacobs came down with a flu bug and was getting sick on the sidelines during the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then last week developed this calf injury situation, strained calf muscle. Still played. He's gone through that now for the last 2 games, and so he was not 100%. And you know, the Packers talked about this too, where the guy's like lobbying to get into the game, make some of the big plays he did in last week's game. This week, you know, he said, okay, maybe I'm not 100%, and that's why you saw Emmanuel Wilson getting more of those snaps as well. So I think that's something they have to watch this week now. That, you know, get this guy back 100%, because there's no breaks now except for, you know, the Thanksgiving game. We get a mini bye after that between now and the end of the regular season. So you don't want to burn up Josh Jacobs at all, or have any kind of a setback for him.
Right.
So overall, I'll try and take through it. There's a list of things I want to tell you about. And it starts with the night that Tucker Kraft had. I got a chance to walk out with LaFleur, who happened to have Tucker Kraft at his side, walking out to the team bus. They were like one of the last ones out of the locker room. And because I cannot get over the play that Jordan Love throws to Christian Watson to get him down to about the 3, where then they scored in with a Josh Jacobs run to take the lead in that game Sunday night against the Steelers. And it's because I'm watching the play through the binoculars, and I see Jordan Love taking quite a bit of time, then tapping the helmet and looking, and then Christian Watson's lined up wide right. And I'm thinking, dude, you're gonna lose time here. You're gonna delay a game. I put down the glasses. I look for the time clock. He's still got 13 seconds left, and so he's letting this thing roll and pause. He's in complete command of the rhythm of that offense and changing plays at the line with Aaron Rodgers watching all this, from the sidelines. And then he makes this incredible throw over coverage to Christian in the back. And then Christian told us, like in yesterday's report, yeah, he changed that play twice at the line. So that's where the level of Jordan Love is. When he's in the zone, that's how good he can be. Don't you think that game against the Steelers, that's as good as we've seen Jordan Love since that playoff game down in Dallas?
Right. I was just going to say since the Dallas game, and maybe even since the Thanksgiving game, where he was in complete control as well, and that offense seemed to really, really flow. So I completely agree with you.
And you have to agree. Look, listen, I'm telling you, Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach and a good staff, too, with Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator, Austin over there as defensive coordinator. Maybe not the best plan in terms of what they've got on their roster right now, but he's a good coach. Matt LaFleur and his guys out-coached that guy. Mm-hmm. And that's another check mark that you need to, no question that game was circled. As for, and so talking to LaFleur, he's like, he's got Tucker Kraft right there saying, it's these guys, man. These guys play their hearts out. So, he's even doing that in front of his players when I was trying to talk about that play from Love. But I got the message. So all good stuff, now head into this game against the Panthers that way. A couple other quick things about the Packers. It was a couple of years ago, coming out of camp, the Packers were a little short at tight end. And Ben Sims was on the roster of the Vikings at the end of training camp and got released, but they were going to bring him back either on their roster or their practice squad. There was about a 12-hour period. Matt LaFleur found that out, and he called this kid personally and talked to him to say, if you come to Green Bay, I promise you we'll get on the roster. And he's been there the last 2 years. But Fitzpatrick now has been coming on as the number 3 tight end. You can see him getting receptions. He's a bigger body guy, probably a better blocker. And on Saturday night, when it came to whether do we keep Harvick, the number 2 kicker, on the roster, because we've got to make some room here, they let Ben Sims go. Well, guess what? He re-signed with the Vikings. So he's now back in Minnesota.
Yeah.
This number 4 tight end you've had. And he's also was a big player on special teams. So you lose that guy in special teams. And then this linebacker, free agent they picked up named Nick Nyman, on Sunday night's game, the next day after you let Sims go, he has a pectoral injury. LaFleur, as you heard there, not good.
Right.
So isn't that interesting, that Rich Bisaccia loses a coverage guy like that on his teams.
Yeah. And
on his special teams.
Yeah, we just heard that they said, what is the injury with the back injury and the pec injury? And he said, yeah, it's not good. So you kind of assume that maybe his season, is winding down as well, unfortunately. Mike, is there anything else on your list that you wanted to touch base on real quick?
Yeah. Steelers stories. Now, I know that half of our listeners, maybe more, it's like, I don't want to hear any more about Aaron Rodgers. We're burnt out on Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Our quarterback's Jordan Love. Enough of the drama, enough of the darkness retreats, enough of the books. Blah, blah, blah. I get that. We get that. And I don't think the media hyped this. Matter of fact, when I was driving through the game, the flagship station for the Pittsburgh Steelers radio network was a disc jockey playing songs and saying, the media is trying to hype this up as a revenge game. I don't think we did. We asked Aaron Rodgers, and he says, no, it's not a revenge game. I have a lot of love for Green Bay. We played that part of the interview. I've got people that I was friends with who were part of the staff for 18 years. And Green Bay means a lot to me. So he didn't make it a revenge game, and that was that. Another day he might have said some of those things on McAfee, but that chapter has moved on. He's looking forward to being a Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer. So that's all good. And yet we got this press conference with him last week on the Zoom, and he had to be nudged on that. So, because according to the Steelers, they went to him and said, look, we've got a bunch of requests to, maybe from folks in Wisconsin, some national interviews, talk about what this game means for you to play against your former team, the Packers. And listen, we can't do all those individuals. We got Sunday Night Football coming in here. That's a lot of media too. And you got meetings to go to. How about if you do a collective Zoom so everybody can get in on that? And Aaron's reply was, you have to convince me of that. What's your argument in favor of that? And then the Steelers said, well, because you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So, and then Aaron agreed. So it wasn't his idea. It wasn't like he wanted more FaceTime. It's like he said, he challenged them to say, why do I want to do that? How does that benefit me? Well, it turned out to be a great press conference, right? Right. Kind of open up those lines. And guess what? Since Aaron Glenn from the Jets said, yeah, we're moving on. I can't have people worried, looking back at you to see your reaction when I say in a team meeting or stuff you're going to say on Tuesdays to McAfee. Rodgers cut all that out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's in step with Mike Tomlin and trying to be, the best Steeler that he can. And he's cut back on that stuff. He's minding his P's and Q's. So I found that to be an interesting part of that. Now, we talked about, Aaron and all the former Packers he was dragging along to New York. Right. Good guys, good players, but, why don't you just let the Jets GM put together your roster, Aaron? Stop being part GM, too, and bringing 6 Packers along just because they're your buddies. They are going to sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling here to Pittsburgh. Yeah. They're short at wide receiver. But I've told you that story. MVS says, I don't get that contract with the Chiefs. I'm not sitting here talking to you, Mike and Bill, at the Super Bowl and getting a ring and getting that 3-year contract out of the Chiefs for $30 million if I don't spend those 4 years learning this game from Aaron Rodgers. I will always be, and that's what a lot of these coaches and players and staff people feel about Rodgers. It was the same thing with Favre. That guy wins games. That guy's our leader. We're forever indebted to him. And I think that's a great move, even though MVS is now 31 years old and, it didn't make the cut with the Steelers because the Steelers found somebody just as fast and younger and cheaper. But now MVS will be joining Aaron at practice this week as a Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver.
Yeah, it'll be just another guy to throw to. They need somebody, and I agree with you. And DK Metcalf can't do it all by himself. But boy, what a matchup nightmare DK Metcalf is. Mike, I guess we got another. One
more quick stat.
Yeah.
The Steelers were 1 for 10 on third down with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
Right.
1 for 10 on third down.
And they were 0 for in the second half of the game.
Your Green Bay Packers defense made life miserable for that Steelers offense Sunday night on first down. Why? Because Mike Tomlin just said about an hour ago, he said, yeah, look at it. He says 5 times on second down, it was second and long, 2nd and 13, 2nd and 14, either because we lost on the running play, the first play of the game, we had pressure, or, another stupid mistake, which they had a lot of dumb penalties in that game. And that's what cost them. And give credit to Jeff Hafley and his defensive game plan to shut down Rodgers and that Steelers offense on Sunday night. That's what made the difference and kept those guys to field goals.
Yeah, and there's going to be more starting tomorrow, obviously. But the one area, Mike, I think that we're all going to be looking forward to is whether or not Goody ends up trying to bolster the secondary. It's not great by any stretch. When they get pressure, it's really good. But the secondary seems to be, by consensus, probably the Achilles heel of this team as of right now, right?
Yeah, and Micah Robinson, a 7th round pick that they had at corner, was on the practice squad. He just got picked up by another team. Was it the Vikings? I'm trying to think. Yeah, but anyway, their 7th round pick at corner just signed with another team because he was sitting there waiting, and now he's on a roster somewhere else. So that doesn't help him in terms of the choices at depth.
Right.
But no, Carrington Valentine made some huge plays. But it's Nate Hobbs is where they spent all the money,
Right.
He's had that knee surgery, and he's not had a good season.
Which, by the way, they have 0 corners now, corners and safeties. I think they have Jalen Simpson and Jonathan Baldwin at safety, but they have 0 corners now on the practice squad. So that depth needs to be bolstered. So, Mike, great stuff as always. Be safe getting home, and we'll talk to you either tomorrow or tomorrow night, and then we'll talk to you again on Friday.
Thank you, Bill. All
right, bud. Talk to you then. Good stuff. Mike Clemens just chiming in, getting out of the airport in Pittsburgh. Always good to catch up with Mike and kind of pick his brain a little bit, but kind of bringing a little bit different insight to what we saw go down, we'll say, on Sunday night and where this Packers team is. But yeah, with him being picked up, that now the Green Bay Packers, if you look on their roster and specifically the practice squad, no corners remain. So what you have in corner right now on this team, Valentine, Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, Bo Melton, Kamal Hadden. Those are your corners right now. That's all you have on this team and on that roster, including the depth of practice squad. So let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more to get to, more of the Bill Michaels Show, and we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. We got a lot to go over of some of the stuff we heard from Matt LaFleur a little while ago, so I want to get into that as well. Stay tuned. We got more right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ready for the snap, and a timeout taken. The team looks a little bit lost. Let's bring in Gina Della from Pella. What's the winning game plan this month?
Wayne, the winning play is simple. A whole house of new windows as low as $297 a month with 0% interest for up to 60 months.
Wow, that's a drive you can sustain for years. No penalties, no interest. A championship move from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
No doubt, Wayne. And unlike the opponent's defense, Pella Windows actually stopped the drafts.
The draft picks we gave up for number 1 had to be the steal of the century.
True, but I'm talking about replacing old drafty windows.
Roger that. With energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out, you'll stay as toasty as a pan at a warm weather preseason game.
Pay as low as $297 a month for a whole house of new Pella windows.
Plus, with 0% interest for up to 60 months, don't sit on the sidelines, folks. Make your move today.
Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Service versus supply is 10/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels rules in 30 seconds.
Before you know it, it's going to be snowing. I hope not too soon, but eventually they're going to start making some snow. Don't forget about our friends at Norway Mountain. Norway, Michigan, which is just east of Iron Mountain, Michigan. And they have ski hills there. They've got a terrific, like a chalet and everything, places to stay, lodging right there in front of the beautiful pond with the fountain in it. If you have not discovered the skiing adventures up there at Norway Mountain, you should. You should go to norwaymt.com. Tell them we sent you, norwaymt.com, or call them direct, 906-970-2040. There you go. Easiest way to do it. 906-970-2040, 906-970-2040. Just east of Iron Mountain, Michigan, go to norwaymt.com. norwaymt.com, and the snow's going to start flying before you know it. Or they're going to be making it, one of the two. Hey, we got a lot of different stuff to get into. We're going to talk with Jim Owczarski coming up in a little bit. Some Bucks basketball. Before that, though, Jordan Love had some things to say. Not in his usual press conference. We'll let you know what those are when we come back. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucks are back home tonight as they welcome in the Knicks for their first matchup of the season. Milwaukee coming off its first loss of the year in Cleveland. Came without starting guard Kevin Porter Jr. He will also be out tonight with a left ankle sprain, but Giannis Antetokounmpo says injuries or not, there can be no excuses for losses this year.
It's going to be a bunch of guys that play hard, that make plays, that space the floor the right way, guys that make open shots, and guys that give everything every single night and make it every single night a ball fight. You know, it's going to be a fight every single night. It doesn't matter who plays. If I don't play, we got to have the same mentality. So good teams don't lose 2-0. Got to go back home and play against the Knicks, and hopefully we can get a win.
Again, it'll be the Knicks and Bucks tonight at Fiserv Forum. Tip is set for 7. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin basketball team getting closer to the start of its season. They're going to close out exhibition play tomorrow against UW Platteville at the Kohl Center. Then they will open the year next Monday against Campbell at home. Badgers will start the season ranked number 24 in the Associated Press poll.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
All business owners want the same thing, to make their business succeed. At Rural Mutual, they help that happen. As the third largest writer of commercial business in Wisconsin, they take the time to learn your business so they can properly protect you. Call your local agent today or visit ruralmutual.com.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, it's an off day for the Packers up in Green Bay. They'll get back in the field tomorrow to start preparing for a visit from Carolina on Sunday. Panthers 4-4 on the year, but coming off a 40-9 loss to Buffalo this past weekend. Green Bay, meanwhile, 5-1-1 and in first place in the NFC North. Kick on Sunday is at noon. And Wisconsin is off this week. They'll return from their bye week next Saturday against Washington. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Kyle.
Final hour. Bill Michaels Show on his Tuesday. How we're looking. Love having you along for the ride. Yeah. There you have it. Good stuff. We got a lot to get to. We got Jim Owczarski coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll talk with Jim about this Milwaukee Bucks team and some of the early returns that we're witnessing. We're going to talk some Packers coming up bottom of the hour. Peter Bukowski of the Locked On Packers podcast. You're going to hear that as well. And if you want to chime in, you can. We haven't taken really any calls today. No, we haven't taken any calls today. It's been a busy day. If you want to give us a buzz, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can text us, 608-321-1670. I can't even, the show flew by so fast today. It's like, wow. I looked up on the new digital clock here in the studio. It's 1:03 Central Time. And I'm like, wow, today flew by.
Well, I think it's flown by for me today as well, Bill. But a big part of that for me is I had the rewarding experience of training someone to run this here equipment. And I love putting a good guest on the air with you or a good segment, but there's nothing like teaching the next generation of broadcasters. I'm gonna be riding that high all day. She's not a new member. She just hasn't worked on these buttons before. So it's hardly a new generation. But, there's some things that are greater than radio, and a very rewarding day for me, I must add. Very quick passing show. Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, today's just flying by. I still can't figure out your camera, though. It's like you're in a little bit of a fog, like you've had really bad Chipotle gas or something, and it's just a little steamy in there.
Ebo might have been lighting something up in here this morning. Yeah. I mean, you hear the tail end of his show. That's kind of, and by that point in the show, things have typically gone off the rails. Like he had a great interview with Zach and Rob Reichel was on, but like sometimes in that last half hour, it just goes completely sideways.
Well,
so it
seems to be when the trifecta of Ebo, Kate, and you were there, things tend to venture off. Now, if you throw into the quadfecta when we had God, what's his face? The intern. Austin. When we had, thank you very much. It just completely escaped me. When Austin was there, then it was crazy. But yeah, when you guys get together in that last half hour, I'll turn it on and I'll just be walking around the house or getting stuff ready in the studio. And every now and then something will happen. And I'll go, what did I just hear?
What?
What? And then I got to stop. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, you got to get back to work. You got to get ready for the show because I get caught, which is good. It's good listen, but I get caught up in that stuff. So.
I have to remind myself to occasionally listen in the 6 or the 7 or the 8 o'clock hour to Ebo's show, because by the time I get here, it's like Sasquatch Mike and some caller from Tomahawk just ranting about chemtrails normally, which is great, which I enjoy. Or like Dave from Monona just body slamming every student athlete that makes any sort of money because it's all a big sham and they're taking it to the club and spending it on cherry bombs, which is great content too. I enjoy that as well.
Yeah, you don't mind, the club. Anytime the club's involved, there's always something good that's going to come out of it, especially if it ends up being after midnight.
And I need Kate to get me out onto this scene. She's the place, all the spots.
Kate is, one day Kate's doing sideline reporting at a Sky Carp game. And the next she's taking selfies of like she's in the glamour shoots, like she's a model somewhere and she's going to a country concert or some other concert, or she's backstage at the Sylvie, or she's traveling to Chicago with her mom to see a concert. And the disparity of dress can be everything from she's playing a basketball game or a volleyball game or hanging out with mom looking like they're on their way to church. And then there's another picture that pops up, in the same post. And you'll be like, man, where the hell did she go? She's like changing a car.
She's wearing a sleeping bag today in the studio.
Yeah. She's got a sleeping bag in the studio, and so there you have it.
That's the one part of this job I haven't been able to nail down is the glamour modeling portion, but I'll get there. Kate will help me.
None of us have. Kate's got it down, but the rest of us, no, not happening.
That's okay.
Not happening. I was thrilled today that all my new dress shirts showed up during the show. Suddenly, I get the text message because on the doors now outside the building, it says, please text for deliveries. And please notify in the text where the deliveries have been made. Because sometimes, like Amazon comes to the front door. They're always at the front door. Always. They'll walk the stairs because it's kind of a walk, not a long walk, but about 30 yards up the the incline.
It's like a plantation driveway with the magnolias on the sides. And for people who haven't seen the front of Bill's house,
you got to walk through the rose bushes to get up here. So, but Amazon always right there at the door. FedEx usually at the door, although they run through the front yard. They just pull off on the street and they run right through the front yard up and back. The mailman, most of the time at the front door, sometimes he'll leave a package like next to the driveway or next to the garage door. UPS, never know where it's going to go. Never know. There was one time they put it around the back of the house.
I have no idea why. There's nothing back there. It's just a sidewalk that leads up to the patio, but put her on the sidewalk by the bushes. I don't know if they're trying to hide it. I don't know if they hate me and they were making me like an Easter egg hunt. I have no idea. So today I see that the shirts are coming from Paul Frederick, which I love those shirts. And I have to look, and I saw it was a UPS truck pulled up, and I'm like, where's the delivery? No, it just said delivered. I'm like, crap. So I look out the front door, nothing. I'm looking at the cameras. I'm like, I didn't see the guy running around, but I saw a shadow over by the RV. So I looked at the back door and the patio doors. He put it on the step of the RV. Like I live in the RV. There's a huge house attached to the RV, but he left it on the step of the RV, which
maybe he thinks you're living in there.
I guess maybe it's like, maybe that's a metaphor or something like, hey, you're going to be a full-time mobile home guy eventually in your lifetime. Maybe you should think about that. But yeah, left it on the steps. Anyway, that's my life. And that's probably about 7 minutes of your life that I've just completely wasted. You want to chime in 877-867-1670. You want to text us 608-321-1670. Watch us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You're good to go. Find us over on Twitter on X @Bill_Michaels or @Wisco Grant. So Jordan Love, we were just talking about Matthew Golden. We were talking about, him deleting his Instagram account, which people seem to be, like taking this as some kind of a sign from God that he's unhappy. But Jordan Love, now who was this on the Kay Adams show?
Up and Adams with Kay Adams on FanDuel Television, the FanDuel Sports Network.
This is Jordan Love talking about, his receivers and such. Please go.
Matthew Golden. This kid's like 8 games in, so many questions. And I think it's like the passion of the fan base. Like, we know what he can do. We want to see more. Do you feel like that's crazy? Or do you feel like we're just scratching the surface with him?
No, for sure. I mean, I think people are just starting to see, what we see in practice from MG every day. I know he's going to be a really great player in the NFL. And I think it's just early. We haven't found ways to go to get him the ball as much. And some of that's where on me trying to find ways to get him the ball. Some of it's just on the plays. And we got so many different receivers and weapons out there that, it's one of those things where it is hard to always get guys the ball. But I always tell guys, some guys will have a great game one day and some guys might have a great day another day. So it's just, you got to stay in that right mindset of coming in, working every day and finding ways to get better yourself. And, as a receiver, as a tight end, as a running back, you never know when your number's going to get called. So you just got to be ready to make plays when it does. But MG, I think we're going to keep finding ways to get him the ball, and he's going to have a great career here. No doubt about it.
So it's poignant. And it's what we basically said. It's like, look, there's some days you're not going to get it. I'll just tell you now, some days you're not. Some days we're going to figure out ways to get you the ball because you can be a playmaker. And we've seen it. Now, the one thing we have not seen, Matthew Golden is not being used downfield. He's not being used in really big crossing patterns. I mean, there have been moments this year where he's played very veteran-like, and played very well a couple of times. You go back to the game against Cincinnati. He played well. He wasn't a ton of catches, but he played well. And what he did and how he was utilized was really good. And you noticed his contribution. But again, not sure if he's upset about something or just doesn't want to hear it or wants to concentrate on football. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I think Matthew Golden is going to fit in. And I think Matthew Golden is going to be a good receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He's going to be a really good option. Whether he turns out to be a number 3, a number 2, a number 1, I don't know. But I think you'd be a fool unless you are just crazy good. And I mean crazy good. I think you'd be a fool to think that you're just going to come in and be the guy right now. Again, Davante Adams took a year or two to really develop into Davante Adams. So if I'm Matthew Golden, yes, because if you're great, and you believe you're great, and you believe in your skills, and you want to be great, you want to be ready to go. But I'm not concerned about Matthew Golden. I'm just not. There's very few wide receivers that come in and do, say, what Igbuka is doing right now, becoming the guy right away. And but he's going to get, not to mention, here's the other thing. Igbuka, Justin Jefferson when he was drafted, Jamar Chase when he was drafted. Jamar Chase already had a relationship with his quarterback when he was drafted. But you look at these guys, when they came into the league, they were on bad teams that didn't have depth of wide receiver. and they became the guy right away walking through the door. The Packers didn't need that. They just needed a guy to be an elevated target. And that's what Matthew Golden is right now. He's a guy that's going to get some targets, and they've got some decent depth. Now, if, say, somebody else goes down, yeah, then he's going to obviously get more targets. But when you've got a good pool of guys, say 5 deep, plus 2 good tight ends, plus a running back out of the backfield, there's only one ball. And you just got to remember that. There's only one football. So I'm not concerned about Matthew Golden being upset at this point. I'm probably not concerned, but probably he's wanting to do more and feels that he can do more. So maybe there's a level of frustration there. But even Matt LaFleur addressed it with Golden, like, yeah, he's going to get his opportunities, and you got to be precise and you got to be good. I'll go back to Matt LaFleur, what we heard from him in the last hour. And he said there was a couple of things in this game that we have not touched on. It was what was eliminated as opposed to what we witnessed. And one of the big things when we go back to the penalty aspect of this, and only having 5 of them, the non-retaliation out of Quay Walker, he touched on after getting the finger in the face mask and his face mask grabbed and everything, and the personal foul, the 15-yard penalty going against Pittsburgh, not retaliating when that could have been a retaliatable offense. You would understand it if he did, was huge, because that gave them the 15 yards. They continue on that drive. They go down, they score. That was a big penalty. And Quay Walker having enough wherewithal to look at the official and go, "Did you see what he did?" And the official threw the flag. That was a big moment. And when he was specifically asked about, look, your first half of football, or there's times where the offense just isn't flowing. So what's holding you back? And he said, what's holding us back? Detail. And he threw in there himself. He said, hey, I got to call better plays. But it's detail. And he said then, when you get the look to run the ball, you have to be efficient. Because premier looks haven't necessarily been as effective. So in other words, when we've gotten the matchup and we've got the play called, and it's like, this should work. This premier play call against this defense in this matchup should be golden. And he said, we're not targeted right. We're not targeted right. The technique, a missed block, or you lose a block. You can't hold it as long as you should. It's just the little things. And he said, when you look at the tape, a lot of these plays are really good plays. And it's one guy. It's one little thing that's screwing some of this stuff up, specifically in the run game. It's one little thing. It's that little detail. If you just don't hold it long enough, you let a guy go just a second early to maybe move downfield. It's just 1 or 2 things here or there that's costing them. So they feel like they're close, but until you clean up that last detail, you're not close enough. But it was a pretty good breakdown of kind of some of the things that we've been discussing today. So I thought that was pretty insightful, I guess is the best way to put it. All right, let's do this. When we come back, I do want to touch on the opening of the season for the Milwaukee Bucks and where they're at and some of the early returns regarding the Bucks. Jim Owczarski is going to join us, make his weekly visit coming up here in about 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. This portion of the program brought to you by our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All. Duanes, Dwayne's Cover It All. This time of year, you're probably thinking about getting your boat winterized. If you haven't already, you better, okay? And when you do, send it to Dwayne. Send it, just say, hey, look, take as long as you need. I need a new travel cover. I need a new bimini top. I need a new cockpit cover. I need new flooring. I need some upholstery. Can do it. No problem. What about your RV? Same thing. Same exact thing. You can do this, the inside, fix the upholstery, whatever it happens to be. Maybe you've got an office and you're thinking, for 2026, I'm going to go out and buy all new office furniture. Hold on a second. What if it could be just reconditioned? And for half the price, be like new. He can do that. Gym equipment, awnings out in front of your business. Whatever it is, he can do it. That's Dwayne's, Duanes, Dwayne'sCoveritAll.com. Call him at 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. That's Dwayne'sCoveritAll.com. Up next, Jim Owczarski. We'll talk some Bucks basketball.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I think it says a lot. The Cavs had the best record last year. They're one of the best teams in the East. But time will tell. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is given. They have to prove themselves.
The words of Giannis. Bucks coming back home. Got knocked off by Cleveland. Returning to the Fiserv, and this portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at J&L Tire and Service Center. And this time of year, you're looking for tires, specifically as the weather starts to change. Check out J&L Tire and Service Center right there at the Johnson Creek exit off of 94, just north of the 94 exit, as a matter of fact. And then on Boulder Road in Watertown. And this time of year, they start stockpiling the gift cards and the cash and stuff for families in need, whether it's the holidays around Thanksgiving or even the holidays for something to put under the Christmas tree. That's our friends at JNL Tire and Service Center. Go to jnltire.com. That is jnltire.com. That's jnltire.com. Joining us now on the hotline, our guy, Jim Owczarski of the Journal Sentinel, covers the Milwaukee Bucks. Jim, how you doing, pal?
I'm good, Bill. I'm good.
So let's. What are the early returns on the Bucks? Because I'll say this: just in watching Bucks basketball, what little I have already this season, it's kind of fun. It's actually a more energized, up and down the floor, a little more spirited game, which I didn't expect until you talked to me about it and said it would be kind of a fun team to watch because of some of the youth. But it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. This is what they wanted to be. And again, Bill, you know, we hear this how many sports seasons, right, about a off-season plan and visions of what they're going to do. And you know, you got to see it. And through 3 games, this is what the Bucks are. And look, already dealing with some injuries to key guys, but 2-1 start, and it's a lot of threes, Bill. and a lot of effort on both sides of the ball. And a lot of that is because of the youth. And it's not just like, look, Gary Trent's 25, but he's been in the league 8 years, right? I mean, he's not like a young player per se, but these are just guys who, this is just what they do, right? Ryan Rollins, this is just what he does. AJ Green, same thing. So it really fits with Giannis, because Giannis, for as great as he is, Bill, his whole career here, he's a try hard, play hard guy. For as talented as he is, you cannot argue. You can't tell me another star of his caliber who tries hard, plays hard as much or more than Giannis, right? And so this team really fits that identity. And now we'll see, can they beat good teams? Can they, starting tonight against the Knicks? But yeah, they are fun to watch in that way.
Yeah, Kevin Porter Jr. out. He rolled the ankle. How long is he going to be down?
Yeah, we're coming up on a week tomorrow, Bill. Doc Rivers initially said it didn't look good, but the fact that Kevin is walking around without a boot on, I watched him go through effectively his pregame shooting routine in Cleveland. This was after shoot around. He did not participate in like the team session of that, Bill. So the fact that he's on the court is a good thing. But again, part of the reason they're fun to watch is because they're quick, right? Back and forth, stop, start, all this stuff. You kind of need those ankles to be right, Bill. Right. So that's a long way to say, could be end of the week, which is a week and a half, 2 weeks, or, a little longer.
So you've had an illness running through the team too. Guys have been sick, whether it's a little bit of flu bug or whatever, but guys have been, you got to Gary Trent Jr., Cole Anthony, both of those guys been ill too.
Yeah, look, it's that time of year, Bill, unfortunately, in a lot of ways. And these guys, as we remember, look, Giannis missed first 2 weeks of camp with COVID. So yeah, this is part of it. And here's where the Bucks are hurt a little bit. Look, a lot of teams are already dealing with a ton of injuries, like either for months long or whatever. But like Cole Anthony's out against Cleveland, right? And all of a sudden now they're down 2 point guards, 2 ball handlers. They struggled at times to create offense. So those are questions we had on this team, Bill, going into the year. And then when that depth is affected, you really see it. So they need – look, Gary Trent puts up 11 threes a game, 8 threes a game. He is a defender for them. So, yeah, it's an illness. It's unfortunate. We all deal with it. We all got to go to work. But at those highest levels, Bill, this is where that stuff really kind of hurts this team so far, because they kind of need everybody to win games.
This is kind of a good stretch of test for the early season Bucks. You got New York coming up tonight, and the Knicks, by many projections, are picked to either win the East or certainly be in the top 3. Then you've got Golden State coming up on Thursday. Saturday, Sacramento comes to town, but then you go on the road and you got to go back to the scene of the crime, and you got to go back to Indiana. And so these next 4 games, pretty good test for the Bucks.
Very good test for the Bucks, but I'd argue, Bill, they got to win. I don't know. Maybe 2-2, someone to be happy with. I know there's a back end there in Toronto, which will be a tough win or tough game to win. That's like a schedule loss, unfortunately. But up to your point, up to that Indiana game, you got to beat Sacramento. They're terrible at home. I don't care if they can run around and have individual fits. So you got to win one of those. You got to win that game. I'll be honest, Bill. You got to win in Indy. Obi Toppin is out for a month. Ben Mathurin, their best player, is now dealing with back stuff. We know no Tyrese. We know no Miles. Like, you have to go and win that game on the road. So now we're looking at 2-2. So now you got these 2 home games, Warriors, Knicks, and you're right. It is a great test because the Knicks, they're banged up, but they are who they are. They're a good team. You played the intro with Giannis. Nothing's promised. And look, there's a little extra here, Bill. I mean, there was a New York cameraman at shoot-around today for the Bucks. Like, this Knicks Giannis thing, ramp it up, right? Like, New York media's in town. Like, so there's a spotlight on this one. And this team, Bill, is so new. All of this is new. Like, do they know what that's like? You know what I mean? To play the Knicks in a game that matters. A lot of these guys haven't beat the Knicks, Bill. But Bucks haven't beat the Knicks since 2023. They lost 5 in a row. And then, the Warriors, of course, Steph, Jimmy, healthy legs, Draymond. So, I think if you split these 4 games, it's you're like, okay.
Right.
But 3-1, Bill, I feel like this is the Bucks need to start fast. And if you can get through this next week 3-1, now you're 5-2 to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're feeling a little better about where this team is going and maybe what they can do.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because I was watching the other day. They were talking about point differential early on in the season and in Giannis and defense. And, is this team going to be better defensively because of their youth and their quickness?
I mean, that's the hope. I think that's the thing we yet need to see. It is bad that, Porter's a huge part of that. Up top, Bill, we've talked about since they traded Drew Holiday, their point of attack defense has been subpar, right? And then that totally breaks down what was a strength, which was Giannis and Brook. So let's say Porter plays, obviously, most of the season. I think it can be better. Ryan Rollins right now, Bill, tied for second in the league, 2.7 steals per game. I know it's short sample size. Tied with Dyson Daniels, a DPOY candidate for most deflections through 3 games. So you've got some real guys up top. And I think if that's healthy and cohesive, Bill, Miles Turner's already come up with a few huge block shots in Toronto and Cleveland. He can kind of wipe mistakes away then at that point. So yeah, the potential's there. But it's lagging behind the offense. I think the offense, you can see this Bucks team scoring right now, regardless. But that defensive end, the framework's there, Bill, but I think we got to see it.
Big game coming up tonight. The New York Knicks are in town. Jalen Brunson and company all here. Jim will be down there to see you. Jim, anything else before I cut you loose?
Giannis, historic start to the season, Bill. We talked about this in the run-up. He's going to have a lot of usage, a lot of stuff. Player of the week, okay, that is what it is. No one in history has had 100 points, 40 rebounds, 15 assists in 3 weeks. He's doing Wilt stuff again.
Yeah.
And we get used to it, I think, right? Because that's the standard. But he has started this year out of a cannon. And so he has to be that. But we got to mention it occasionally. Again, we get used to it, Bill. But when special guys do special things, it's worth pointing out.
Yeah, without a doubt, he's off on a tear, no doubt. Good stuff. Appreciate it as always, Jim. We'll talk again next week. Okay.
All right, speak soon, Bill. Thanks.
All right, buddy. There you go. That's our buddy Jim Owczarski joining us for a couple of minutes on the Schneider Big Orange Hotline. Good stuff. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll go right back into it. Peter Bukowski, the Locked On Packers podcast. You're going to join us next on the Bill Michaels Show. Don't go anywhere.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back in the Bill Michaels Show. We are glad you are with us, as always. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors, Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, whether it's for all the innovation that they have on the inside, the beautification for curb appeal on the outside, the economical factor, the safety factor. So many different things go into it, but also 0% financing right now. So check it out. Go to PellaWI.com. Get the free in-home consultation. They can come out and tell you what you need, what you don't need, what you're thinking about, all that kind of good stuff. Show you so many different lines, so many different things to think about. Put it all together that fits your budget, fits your lifestyle, fits your needs. That is our friends over there at Pella. Go to PellaWI.com or call them direct, 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Again, 855-PELLA-WI. You can find all your stuff right there. Joining us now from the Locked On Packers podcast and co-founder of The Leap, our buddy Peter Bukowski joining us on the hotline. Pete, what's going on, man?
Bill, it's I shudder to think what the discussions would have been like the last couple of days had Aaron Rodgers pulled things out, had the first half of the Packers game gone the same way as the second half gone the same way as the first half.
Is this okay? Let me ask you this, because I had said this. I said, look, if this team, they don't even need to put 4 of them together. If they could put 3 quarters together consistently as to what they did in the second half of that game against Pittsburgh, what they did in the second half of the game against Dallas, all of that, this would be the team to beat in the NFC. Would you agree?
I mean, I think they are anyway, just because we know what they're capable of being. The Lions are the other team that if they put 4 quarters together, they can beat anybody. But the Packers already beat them. And so they have to be. I think there are 3 teams that are head and shoulders above the rest of the league right now. And if they're not head and shoulders, they're like at least heads above everybody else. That's Green Bay, Detroit, and Kansas City. I know what you're saying, and I agree that if they put 3 quarters together, they can beat almost anybody, because 3 of their best quarters is better than 4 of anybody else's best quarters in most cases. But it's hard to do that. I mean, how many times can you think of a Packers team or any team just 4 quarters of absolutely kick your ass kind of stuff? Like that's difficult to do against anybody, for anybody. That being said, it'd be nice if they could have a game like that or 2, just so everybody can quiet down.
I think don't get me wrong. The addition of Christian Watson, obviously Matthew Golden's emergence, and certainly Tucker Kraft and the way he's playing have all been really, really good. But I look at the trenches, and I also look at the pressure that's been put or not been put on Jordan Love, and the fact that you've now had 3 weeks in a row, because you hadn't had the entire offensive line together going all the way back even into training camp. So the fact that 3 weeks in a row, now these guys look more cohesive. The pre-snap penalties have all but been eliminated. It seems like now is when they're starting to flow. They're starting to get a little more traction offensively. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, and you'd still like them to run the ball better. And Matt LaFleur would certainly like them to run the ball better. And so their desire for balance feels a little less foolish. Right now, I think their desire for balance is foolish. Because if you think about this, Jordan Love had 20 straight completions. On early downs against the Steelers, they had 26 passes and 23 runs. That when you can't run the ball effectively, and the Packers have to date not been able to run the ball consistently, and your quarterback is on a heater, the search for balance is foolish. And I think that I'm sure you remember this, Bill, the old Mike McCarthy, and I joked during the game that this needed to be a Mike McCarthy game. And remember, the mid 2010s and certainly early 2010s when it was like, okay, the run game, you try it on the first drive, and if it's not there by the second drive, he would just it was like drop back the rest of the game, basically.
Right.
I kind of felt like that's what they needed to do against Pittsburgh. And that's eventually what they did in the second half. They just let Jordan Love go do it. And I think the more that they're able to say, at least be willing to do that, the fact that this offensive line has come together the way it has will allow them to be able to do that. You can't do that if you can't run the ball, because you're not going to be able to let teams just pin their earbacks and go. When you have all your guys, I think you feel like you can hold up. I mean, if you can hold up against the Steelers with TJ Watt and Nate Herbig and Cam Hayward and all the guys that they can throw at you like they did, you can hold up against anybody, even without balance. Now, if they had some balance, Matt, this offense would be fully unstoppable if they were running the ball this year like they ran the ball last year, right?
Yeah, I went through, and I started charting this a couple of weeks ago, so I went back last night. I just started kind of making my own notes. 71% of the time in the first half, they are in shotgun. And that drops dramatically down to like 54% in the second half of ball games when they've had more success. Look, I'm not a fan of running out of shotgun totally, and I think the play action's been somewhat lost in all of this, but it seems like they try it, they want to get a look of everything, and then all of a sudden they go, okay, let's open this up and let's put them under center and let's do that. And there's so much more success there. I can't figure out why, for the life of me, it's all shotgun in the first half and a more balanced attack in the second half. Can you?
I think part of it is they have not been effective running the ball with 2 tight ends on the field, which is weird because usually you put 2 tight ends on the field to run. But I think part of this is Luke Musgrave is not a plus blocker as your second tight end. And part of it is that the offensive line has not looked in the run game the way that they hoped, with the addition of Aaron Banks and Jordan Morgan sliding in at right guard. By the way, he lost the timeshare on Sunday night to Sean Ryan, 55-45, after playing 2 games where he was clearly the starter at guard. That's something to monitor moving forward for sure. But I don't know. Josh Jacobs doesn't look the same to me, explosive wise. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's all the wear and tear that he put on, the miles he put on last year. But when Emmanuel Wilson gets in the game, it is a noticeable difference in juice. And I think that's why they drafted Marshawn Lloyd. He just, it's a shame that he died from a hamstring injury because he's not even at practice. Jaden Reed broke his collarbone and his foot, had surgery, and is already back at practice. And Marshawn Lloyd is nowhere to be found. It's a truly bizarre situation.
Right.
So I don't know if we need to get Mike Clemens to talk to Green Bay PD or what to find him, but the run game, it's just I don't know what they need to get it going, but I feel like the offensive line here has to be part of the solution in that regard. They have to start moving bodies, Bill.
Yep. I was just going to say they got to win up front. I mean, that's why I think that, and I agree with you that they try the run and then they go, okay, it's not going to work, so we're in shotgun. They run the ball better when they're under center. Statistically speaking, they're running the ball better when they're under center, and I don't understand why it's the necessity to go to shotgun, and then they go, okay, let's change some things up, and then things begin to work in the second half of ball games when they can't come out and do that, or at least stick to it and do more of the things that we've discussed in the past early on in ball games. I always keep thinking to myself, let them have a methodology to this. There has to be something that they're setting up. Like you got to run certain plays in the beginning so you can set them up for plays that run again later in the ball game. I don't know. Defensively speaking, the Achilles heel secondary, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think defensively speaking, the Achilles heel is the secondary when you can't create pressure. So teams that can play balanced and be consistent, like the Steelers, if you look at the final numbers, you go, oh, they didn't run the ball that well. But it felt like during the game that they were ripping off these chunks. The thing is they were also getting these plays where they're getting stopped for no gain. The very few teams this year have been able to consistently get 5-6 yards. And so that makes it really tough on an offense. Like if you just can't call, like the Packers, I believe, it was certainly the case coming into Sunday, I haven't checked lately, have faced the fewest number of runs in the NFL this year. Teams are just not trying their run defense, and that is allowing Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary to get off the way that they've been able to get off here. But when the pressure is not getting to you, then that is what we saw second half Joe Flacco, second half Dak Prescott, first half Aaron Rodgers, where if the ball is able to come out quick, then that pressure can't get home. The addition of Carrington Valentine to this group has been I hesitate to even say revelation, Bill, because he was on the team. He was the starter last year.
Right.
It seems, like the only reason Nate Hobbs, it feels like, was immediately put back into the lineup as the starter is 4 years, $48 million.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
on the field. I think Carrington Valentine is a capable, worthy starter. I think what you're going to see is them work Nate Hobbs back into the fold as a passing situation nickel corner and mostly abandon at least this outside corner experiment that they put on here. And that's going to be unfortunate because he's going to be an overpaid slot corner gunner special teams player. But if that's happening because Carrington Valentine is playing at a high level, I mean, it's just money.
So be it. Yeah. I completely agree with you. Do you think, and I've said this for a while, I think the Achilles heel is the secondary, but I also think the depth of the Achilles heel is secondary, that they need to find some, I don't know if they're going to make a trade.
Away from being in big trouble here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason I keep thinking to myself, you already went all in with Micah Parsons and you believe that this is the season where the window is wide open. To me, I'd be scouring right now trying to find myself another corner or two. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, if you could shake one free, I think they'd have to be able to play the boundary. I mean, that's the key is because you have, like, Javon Bullard is a nice nickel corner. I like Javon Bullard I think he's made a significant improvement this year, being allowed to just say, you're the slot guy. You feel good about Keyshawn Nixon and Valentine on the outside, I guess. And Nixon can always move inside. Nate Hobbs, we know, can play inside. That was where he was best as a Raider. Those kinds of corners are not easy to find. Like maybe you can call the Bengals and you can shake loose Cam Taylor-Britt or someone like that. Roger McCreary was someone I think in Green Bay, the Rams trade for him. He's a slot only player, I think, in Green Bay. The Lions release Kendall Fuller. That's an interesting one. But he's not the Brian Gutekunst stage curve that you're looking for. So that's the tricky part here is finding the right fit that is also on the right timeline here, even though the window is now for the Packers. The cornerback age curve is a real thing. Like after 28, 29, these guys, they are falling off a cliff.
I know that, he's banged up. I get it. But what have you seen that you have either liked or disliked out of Lucas Van Ness? When we were all sitting down there in Indianapolis, Goody was very emphatic that Van Ness was going to take the jump. And I've seen him play well on specific plays, certain plays. Overall performance, though, has been lukewarm at best.
I think you'd like to see more of the high end. You'd like to see more of the flashes from him. He's not a flashy player. I think he is most likely to profile as a Rashawn Gary type of player. He is a power pass rusher who is going to have cleanup sacks mostly. So a quarterback is forced to hold the ball for a second and he gets home, and be a stout run defender. And Rashawn Gary, when it's all said and done, is going to probably be a 2 or 3 time Pro Bowler for the Packers. I think Lucas Van Ness profiles most closely to healthy Nick Perry. And I think it's easy to forget healthy Nick Perry was a really nice player. A couple multi-sack games. He was never an elite player. And that's going to be a disappointment from someone who was a top 15 pick. You know, the Aaron Rodgers trade is always going to follow him. He was on his way to taking a step, Bill, this year, a significant step forward. He got hurt on a sack, right? He got hurt on a sack of Joe Flacco. That's the unfortunate part.
Right.
But, you know, we're still talking about someone who is not affecting the game down to down, play to play, quite the way that you would like a high first round pick to do. But, you know, it can take time. I mean, Ed Oliver is someone who it took until year 3 or 4 for him to really become that truly impactful player. And even then, he wasn't quite that guy. So, if Lucas Van Ness ends up being Rashawn Gary, I don't think that should be viewed as a disappointment, but I know it will be.
Is this the most balanced we've seen this team in a long, long time?
That's a good question. I think so, because the offense in 2019 was not as good. We saw it in 2020, and there were clear holes. I think this is the fewest holes the Packers have had in probably since 2014. Because they can run, they have a great back. I don't know if the run game is great right now. The quarterback is playing at an extremely high level. The offense, the weapons, the offensive line, the pass rush, and you mentioned the secondary. There is some problems in the secondary, but they have an elite safety duo. They have a top 3 safety duo in the league right now with Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams. They're not making the splash plays, but that's because teams refuse to test them. No one's throwing the ball down the field on Green Bay. And those safeties can erase a lot of mistakes. They can cover up for a lot of mistakes. And we also saw Adrian Cooper once again on Sunday play at an extremely high level.
Yeah,
the amount of impact
really
that guy can have on the game. I mean, this is as complete a roster. Yeah. Now that we've talked through it, this is as complete a roster as they have had since 2014. And I think you could make the case that there's less high-end talent, but that 2014 team, the linebackers were not very good on that team. And you know, so the tight end was not very good on that team. It was okay. Man, that was rookie Richard Rodgers. Maybe you feel like this is actually a deeper, more complete team than that one was. And they were a calamity of errors away from the Super Bowl.
Real quick before I let you go, I know people are, Harvisak, he's got to be the guy. McManus is the guy. I've seen McManus. You've seen McManus. We all watch him line up. He's booting 65-yarders like it's no big deal. I think coming back a week from that injury, also on a turf in which it was a little bit questionable in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I'm not worried about McManus.
Yeah, I'm not worried about McManus either. He was kicking at the Allegheny County Municipal Golf Course there that they play on in Pittsburgh. That field is an abomination. Terrible. And it's always been. And I wish the NFL would intervene. When you have Chris Collinsworth saying the home team kicker has had to adjust the way he kicks because the turf stinks. Like, can we just all agree that that's time for the league to step in and say, you guys got to figure this out? Like, it's just not, it should not be acceptable. There are like 3rd division English soccer leagues that play on better fields than NFL teams. And that just should not be a thing. Exactly. I digress. It is really hard for a team in a Super Bowl window to say, we're going to take this veteran kicker who has proven it in the league and has won games for us, to say we're going to move on for a 26-year-old. Right. But I do think Havlicek has made it difficult for the Packers to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. I think they're going to carry 2 kickers for the foreseeable future. I really do. I do too. And I don't think that's a bad idea because they can afford it right now. I think when Jaden Reed comes back, when they get fully, when Marshawn Lloyd comes back, they're going to have some tougher decisions to make. But right now, like the difference between a 4th backup offensive lineman on the practice squad and having an extra kicker on your roster, I don't think that's moving the needle for the Packers, do you? So no. I think they can continue the way that they're currently handling it. If McManus continues to struggle, you have the ready-made replacement there. The 61-yarder opened my eyes, Bill. I'll be honest. When the Aaron Schatz, formerly of Football Outsiders, now of FTN Fantasy, had this stat: the 57-yarder that McManus missed. And isn't it amazing that we're counting 57-yarders as like, yeah, he should probably make this. It was only the fourth field goal this year in the NFL charted as short. So every team has these monster robot-legged kickers. If you don't have one, you're behind. And so that I do think that is something to consider here. Now, again, you mentioned it, 60 plus in warmups, McManus is making them. I think he just wasn't 100% ready. And so I think you'll just live with some of the deficiencies. Maybe it makes Matt LaFleur a little bit more aggressive going for it on fourth down. He had no hesitation on the fourth downs yesterday when they were at fourth and short, fourth and medium to just go for it.
Right. Peter, always great to talk to you, my friend. I certainly appreciate it. We'll keep paying attention to the Locked On Packers podcast as well, okay?
Thanks, Bill.
There you go. Peter Bukowski joining us from the Locked On Packers podcast. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we'll wrap it up. Peter joining us for a couple of minutes, and we're going to wrap it up. That is all upcoming next on The Bill Michaels Show. We'll be right back.
Ready? This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ready for the snap and a timeout taken. The team looks a little bit lost. Let's bring in Gina Della from Pella. What's the winning game plan this month?
Wayne, the winning play is simple. A whole house of new windows as low as $297 a month with 0% interest for up to 60 months.
Wow, that's a drive you can sustain for years. No penalties, no interest. A championship move from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
No doubt, Wayne. And unlike the opponent's defense, Pella Windows actually stopped the drafts.
The draft picks we gave up for number one had to be the steal of the century.
True, but I'm talking about replacing old drafty windows.
Roger that. With energy-efficient windows that keep the cold out, you'll stay as toasty as a fan at a warm weather preseason game.
Pay as low as $297 a month for a whole house of new Pella windows.
Plus, with 0% interest for up to 60 months, don't sit on the sidelines, folks. Make your move today.
Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels rolls in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Wrapping things up. Bill Michaels Show. Want to remind you tonight, they got Taco Tuesday. They have darts. They have all kinds of good stuff going on out at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. If you're going to be out there tonight catching anything on the tube, whether it's the Bucks or World Series or whatever it is, it's on Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee. That is Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill right there on Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee. Coming up here tomorrow on the program is our usual Wednesday as we get ready for not only the Packers back on the practice field, getting ready for the Carolina Panthers, but then also the huddle coming up tomorrow night. So we've got all of that upcoming. I don't think we really missed anything today that I know of off the top of my head, headline-wise, right, Grant? Did we miss anything?
Nope. I think we covered just about everything, including Instagram drama.
Yeah.
So I think we got just about everything and then a little bit extra. So I think we did our duty today.
There you go.
Listener.
We covered it all, including the Instagram drama. But that being said, we'll be back at it again tomorrow, 20 hours from now. A little over that, as a matter of fact. We'll be back on the air. But as always, good stuff today. Thanks to everybody for paying attention to the program. Don't forget, you can find us on all the different platforms. Check us out. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Go to YouTube. It's free. YouTube.com/Bill Michaels Show. And please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The Bill Michaels Show. The Bill